Yo, what's the word, y'all? Hey, stay in here. I'm gonna let some people join in. We're gonna be talking about the metaverse, and we're gonna be talking about Christianity and virtual reality. I'm gonna just actually go ahead and start. As more people join, we'll just get to it. But I just did a video on YouTube talking about VR, augmented reality, virtual reality. If you don't know what virtual reality is, and or the difference between virtual reality and augmented reality is or virtual reality is fully submerged. You fully submerged into VR. Augmented reality is partial submersion. So, for example, if I was to take on some glasses, put on some glasses right now, and I could see people's NFTs, or I could see a dragon flying around in the actual real world, almost like Pokemon Go. That would be augmented reality. Virtual reality would me be putting on the headset. I cannot see anything in regards to the real world, and I'm fully submerged into VR, right? So that's the difference between virtual reality and augmented reality. I want y'all to understand that in the next 5 to 15 years, they're going to be pushing this very heavily on people. The whole world is going to try to go VR. Companies like Walmart, Louis Vuitton allegedly have invested into these companies and or invested into VR. They're buying virtual land, buying virtual property because they want people to invest their lives into VR. I honestly believe this is the reason this whole situation happened, where they're trying to give people those and they shut down the whole world because they wanted to keep people inside. They wanted to keep people inside the house. They wanted people buying things online. So I want y'all to understand something. We started off as Web 1. We're currently in Web 2 right now, and we're getting ready to shift into Web 3. Hopefully we don't. But Web 3 is where, excuse me, hold on. Web 3 is when, or excuse me, Web 1 is the first web that they ever created. That's when it was just regular websites, .com. You can go to Comcast.net, AT&T.net, WWE.net, right? That was Web 1. Web 2 is what we're going through right now, is when you were able to interact with the internet and become a part of the internet, right? Or excuse me, you were somehow able to interact with the internet, okay? So right now we have social media. That's us interacting with the internet. We're interacting with each other, but we're not fully in the internet. Web 3 is becoming submerged in the internet. Web 2 is being able to buy products on Amazon by going to the Amazon website, clicking shop, adding it to your cart, right? Web 3, instead of actually going on that website, you will be putting on a headset and you'll be going into the actual Amazon store. So just like how you can walk into a regular store right now, like you can go into Walmart, buy stuff, throw things in your cart. Walmart might buy some virtual land and you'll be able to put on your virtual headset, go into the metaverse and go onto that virtual land that Walmart owns, walk into their store, order everything and have it shipped to your house, right? Through AI and all of that stuff. You'll be able to push your buggy down the aisle just like real life, grab stuff, virtually click at it. Oh, I want some Captain Crunch. I want some Crunch Berries. I want Fruity Pebbles. I want honeycomb. Throw all of that stuff into your buggy and somebody will deliver it to you. Eventually, drones will become so fucking popular. Half of your groceries will probably be carried by them, or they'll have trucks that drive themselves and ship. It's going to be nuts, y'all. I just want y'all to know that. I can just already see it based on what they already have, right? So right now there's already commodities and stuff inside of the VR that aren't even real, that people are buying that's not even real. For example, virtual land. You can buy some virtual land right now for probably about $5, but there's some virtual land that's worth thousands of dollars, real money, land that costs people's rent. You get what I'm saying? So, and eventually they'll be able to be flipped and sold as real properties. At least that's what their plan for it is to do. So, when somebody like Shaq or somebody like LeBron James buy some virtual land, right? Now that raises the value of that community because there's so many people around LeBron James, and it'll bring up the value of that land because LeBron James is there. It's like, imagine if you live next door to LeBron James. Everybody will be trying to move to your fucking neighborhood. The price of your house will go up. Certain shit will just happen. But imagine that on a digital scale, right? Hold on. It's just pictures, bro. Facts. Isn't Facebook losing millions of people? Hell yeah, they losing millions of people. That's because nobody going for this shit. And black guys still cating. Yeah. But yeah, no, this VR shit is going crazy. And I would honestly just stay away from it. This is gonna be for they trying to push this for the next generation of kids that are like 5, 6, 7 that are getting ready to turn into preteens. You only have to be 13 to have on a virtual device. Like you shouldn't even be thinking about virtual reality at 13 because you have a real fucking life. What do you need to be doing on a virtual reality game at 13 years old? Right? It's gonna cause depression. It's gonna cause kids to be more disconnected than they already are. And the reason I keep talking about this subject and I keep bringing it up because y'all don't understand how serious this shit is really going to be. Like, I'm talking about there's porn on VR. They're making bodysuits to where you'll be able to literally put on a whole suit and feel like you're in virtual reality. I want y'all to understand something. Your brain does not know the difference between reality and what's fake. And what I mean by that is, if I put on a scary movie right now and you see somebody get stabbed, if we're all in a movie theater, I guarantee you at least one person is going to cringe. That's because 80% of messages relayed to your brain come from your eyes. So everything that you see is sending a signal to your brain. When you see somebody get stabbed, whether it be real, whether it be fake, your body processes that and sends signals to your brain of that experience. So you're partially experiencing what you see other people go through. That's why you feel pain when you see somebody getting their ass beat, because your brain is acknowledging the scenario that's going on and sending that to your sending that to you. This is why you can feel like you're on an emotional roller coaster when you're watching a movie, because it's so many emotions being sent. The music, the scenes, it's all a play on your mind, right? It's the same thing with a dream. You can piss on yourself in your sleep because your brain doesn't know the difference between what it's seeing that is real and what's fake. So you can literally piss on yourself in your sleep because your brain does not know the difference between what's fake and what's reality. And when you wake up, that's when you realize, like, oh, so when you put on a headset, they understand how the brain works. They understand how the nervous system works. They understand how it responds to messages, and they're sending light signals to your brain and creating a fake version, a fake reality to make stuff look like it's coming closer and further away from you. Like there's a game in the VR right now called Plank, and if you stand on the end of the plank, they take you up 100 stories high in VR. You stand on the end of the plank, and it literally feels like you're looking off a skyscraper, to the point to where your fucking heart is beating out of your chest because you're literally looking. You're not literally looking, but in VR, you're looking over a plank and you see the bottom ground. Like, you know what I'm saying? You see the bottom of the ground 100 stories away. So you like, dude, this shit feels so real. Like, I'm telling y'all my experience when I seen it for the first time. I'm like, yo, this shit feels so real that it's scary. It's scary how submerged I am right now into this game and believing, and the fact that my brain cannot process the fact that if I'm in an actual fucking game or if I'm actually standing on a plank right now, that is scary, y'all. That is scary. And right now, metaverse is only at its baby stages. Metaverse is only it's only looking like Minecraft right now. You feel me? So it's gonna get even crazier. It's gonna get even crazier to the point to where it actually feels real. It actually feels real. Exactly. Somebody said it's the kids coming up that's going to get caught in it. Exactly. That's who they're marketing this to, because just like how we grew up on the internet and that was the back of our hand, like everybody, kids that's in our age group, you know, in their 20s and up, we grew up, you know, with computers, but it wasn't that super computeristic. Like, I feel like the kids in my age group got it the best because we got to see technology, but we got to see life before technology. Like the first 5 or 6, I would say like the first 5, 6, 7 years of our life, or first 5, 6 years of our life, there was no technology that was like popular that you had to have. But as we got older, you know, games like World of Warcraft started coming out. I was on that young. I was a young when I was on the games, you know, playing MapleStory at a young age on the computer. I knew how to type super fast. I still know how to type fast. And motherfuckers be like, bro, how do you know how to type so fast? Because I was 7 years old on a keyboard typing, talking to people, you know, and having to literally type out everything that I thought about, you know what I'm saying? Or wanted to communicate. So, you know, that's like how that was for us when we was little and we had all of this technology and we had phones. That's how it's going to be for 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds and 5-year-olds that's coming up. The next generation, if people that have babies right now or have children between 1 to 7, this is who they're targeting. They're targeting them so that virtual reality feels normal for them. I had that happen as a kid once. It's the kids coming up. Hold on. Somebody said not all brains do this. That has to do with empathy. Not everyone can experience that. I get what you're saying. But most people will. And that's the purpose of a movie, is to take you through an emotional experience. So while some people have been conditioned because we've watched so many movies so many times, you can say that, but you wouldn't watch a movie if it didn't drive you emotionally. That's the reason why you watch movies, because it stimulates certain emotions. It causes certain hormones to release in your body and make you feel a certain type of way. That's the difference between you wanting to watch a movie and you not wanting to watch a movie, because that's why you say a movie is good, because it's making you feel good, or you didn't like that movie because it was shit. But at the end of the day, when you get done watching a movie, you either going to be fucked up or you're going to be feeling good. Like some people be like, damn, that movie had me fucked up. Like still thinking about it. Most of people's reality and their experiences is based off movies. Little do you know. How many people are scared to go into the woods at night because they feel like it's something in the fucking woods that'll kill them or that'll murder them or do something like that? It's because you've watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You've seen all these scary movies, because in actuality, it's probably safer in the woods at night than it is out here in the hood. You get what I'm saying? So the fact that so much of our life has been guided by reality TV. For example, the big brother picking on the little brother. That shit that's taught in TV. Going to high school and, you know, prom and all of these things. All of this shit has been taught to us by TV, reality TV show, people getting into arguments. If your brain has not seen a scenario happen in real life, the first thing that it'll see is let me give you an example. If a little boy never sees his parents get into an argument, let's say because he doesn't have a father in his life or he doesn't have his mother in his life, right? When he gets into a relationship, if he watched a TV show where a woman gets slapped by the man because she said something out of the way, 9 times out of 10, when he gets into an argument, when certain situations are similar, that's going to be his first response, right? That's going to be his first response, is to do that, because he's never had any other example to show them how to act. A lot of people are just mimicking what they see, and y'all gotta study the history of TV and how history of TV started off. Like, TV didn't start off as everybody having their own channel of Cartoon Network and MTV for the teens and ESPN for dad. No, it didn't start like that. TV started off as everybody sitting in the living room together. We all watched this show at this time. Not everybody had a TV in their room. Not everybody had their own social media device where they would split up. No, that's not how it was. Everybody was watching Bill Cosby. You get what I'm saying? They was watching TV shows like that, little sitcoms. Right after that, everybody go to sleep, but they were spending time in the house. As TV progressed, they start coming out with shit like Cartoon Network, MTV, soap operas. Now you got each parent in a different room watching something, each child in a different room watching something, and they're all being programmed. That's why they call it programming, because they're channeling energy. That's why it's so many different channels, and they're channeling energy, and they're trying to get you to think a certain way. They're trying to get you to live this unrealistic life and have you so distracted. So yes, everybody does experience emotions. You may be numb to it, but in the same way, somebody who smokes a cigarette, the smell doesn't bother them, but it bothers a person who doesn't smell it in the same sense. When you watching movies, it may not move you as much as somebody else do, because you're used to it and you process that this is a movie. and you have that training and that conditioning, but not everybody is at that level to be able to do that. But even still, while you feel like you're not being affected, you're definitely being affected. Not Auburn. I had this happen as a kid once. It's the kids. Bro, where do you find this knowledge? I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of research. I do a lot of studying. And honestly, after you know so much stuff and you learn so much, like, this shit just come to you, bro. Like, it's easy to put two and two together when you have a foundation of what the fuck is actually going on. Like, it's like being in a conversation. It's like seeing two people argue, and you're the person that's watching them argue, and you realize that they're actually agreeing with each other, and they don't even realize they're agreeing with each other, and you have to step in. It's because you're looking at things from a different perspective based off of your knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So you're seeing things from a different world. Once you have a certain grasp and knowledge on things, you can look at things differently. Somebody said, prove God doesn't exist. I don't think that God isn't real. I know God is real. What I don't believe is Jesus was real. And if you guys anybody who wants to talk about religion or Christianity, you're going to have to join in. You're going to have to send a guest request. And yes, God does exist. I just don't believe in Christianity or any other religion, honestly. Is what you watched on TV programming. Yes, everything on TV is programming. That's why they call it programs. Everything we believe has been taught by others, media, and TV. Facts. Prove is spelled with one O. Good looks. And we have more historical evidence that he died and rose than Aristotle. Hey, Bam ECT, join into my live. Join into my live. I don't even think you'll be able to because you don't have enough followers. Somebody said, so I don't believe in God. No, I do believe in God, y'all. Okay, let me just explain this. I'm gonna explain, y'all. Let me blend my smoothie real quick. But this is the whole concept about God. I want y'all to understand something. God and Jesus, to me, are not the same people. God is the energy that permeates and exists through every living thing. God is the reason why everything exists for what it is. But do I believe that God is one man that's floating in the sky, or a man that came and down here and died for our sins? No, that's unreal. We did not come from a man's rib. That is unrealistic. That could never happen in real life. We have to deal with facts. See, the thing with the yes. And Toxic TO says he's leaving because I said something that he doesn't agree with. And this is another thing that we're going to have to talk about, how Christianity creates this mindset around people that when somebody says something that they don't agree with, they instantly go the other way. So we can start with that. That's a major reason why I don't practice Christianity anymore. And before we go into this any deeper, let me just explain something to y'all. I used to be a Christian. I grew up in the church. I was baptized at 3 years old. I was baptized again around 17. And I've caught the Holy Spirit. I know all of that, and I'll go deeper into that. But as I gained more knowledge, I was one of those people that was bringing people to church. I was one of those people that was reading the Bible every day. So I'm not one of those people that never been to church, that don't know nothing about Christianity. I was a Christian before. But what Christianity does is it creates a border around the mind that allows you to only think a certain way. Because just like how this dude Toxic came in here and he said, so Christianity isn't real, but God is real. I'm leaving because he's been taught that anything that's not in accordance with this book is evil, and that you should instantly go the other way. So that creates a closed mind, no matter how you want to look at it, because if something doesn't align with this, you're not interested in it. So when somebody presents information to you that doesn't go in accordance with this book, you instantly reject it, whether it makes sense or it doesn't, whether it's factual or it's not non-factual, because you have been programmed and you have been indoctrinated to think in a certain type of way. You get what I'm saying? So that's the number one. Christianity creates a lock and it closes your mind off to certain ideas, and that's a big reason. For number two, a lot of people don't understand that Christianity is solar worship. Regardless of how many Christians are going to tell you that they don't believe in the sun and they don't do this, well, I'm going to break this down for you. I want y'all to understand something. Back in the day, when people were first starting, the primitive people. And when I say primitive, I don't want y'all to think of Neanderthals, or I don't want y'all to think of cavemen. When I say primitive, prim stemming from the word prime, meaning one, the first people, the original people, the intelligent people, right? And not all of them, not all the primitive people were intelligent. But when it first started off, y'all got to understand, people were paying attention to the stars. The sun was everything to these people. You know why? Because the sun was what created food. The sun is what kept them warm. The sun is what kept them alive, right? That's just facts. We know that if the sun went out today, that everything would die. We're nothing without the sun. So I want y'all to understand the importance of the sun. While some people teach that the sun is causing cancer, it may be causing cancer for some people, but the sun is what heals you. When it's summertime, everybody feels good. Why? Because of the sun, right? The sun creates certain chemicals in your body and stimulates certain energies, and it sends signals and messages to your body, right? The sun will send signals to the plant. The sun communicates with the plant by sending electromagnetic waves to it to stimulate growth. This is why plants grow from sunlight and water. Water holds and stores information. So the plant needs sunlight because the sunlight is giving it the intelligence on how to grow. How else would it know how to grow, right? It needs water because the water is holding on to that information and storing it, right? Okay, so the sun is very, very powerful. Our ancestors knew that when the sun came up, that it was bringing that when the sun came up, that it was giving life to everything. So when we look at the Christian religion, let's make the connections of the sun and religion, right? We have Jesus being allegedly born on December 25th. Why is Jesus born on December 25th? One, because 2 and 5 added up together equals 7. That's one. 12, and this is just coming to me right now. December is 12, which is 3. Them are the two numbers of God. 2, December 25th is the winter solstice. That is when a celestial event is happening in the sky. This is when we're entering winter. Why is Jesus' birthday on the winter solstice? It's because it has to do with the sun. Hence why he is called the Son of God. This is why Christians go to church on Sunday to praise their sun god. The word Holy Bible translates to Helios Biblios, meaning the sun book. Y'all get what I'm saying? Jesus was the son who traveled around with 12 disciples, which were the 12 zodiacs. Jesus the son had 12 zodiacs, 12 disciples that traveled around him, right? The sun has 12 zodiacs that travel around it. You get what I'm saying, right? So when you really start studying religion, you'll see the reason that Jesus rose from the dead on Easter. You know what day Easter is? It's another celestial event that's happening in outer space. It's called the spring equinox. This is the beginning of spring. So back in the day, the ancients knew that during this time on the winter solstice, December 25th, we were not having any crops. The sun is going down. Like we're not getting as much heat. And they knew on the spring solstice or the spring equinox, the sun would rise again. They knew that the crops would rise again. And that's what Jesus's resurrection is about the crops rising. Literally, y'all, this is what this shit is about. In the winter on December 25th and between, I want to say like December 22nd, 23rd and 24th, the sun sits still for a period of time. And if you want to learn more about this, I'm going to be doing lectures on my website where I break down all of this stuff and I show you. But the sun rises and it looks like it's sitting up for about for like 3 days. It looks like it's sitting in one spot. And then on the fourth or on the third day, it rises. And it looks like it's literally on a cross if you look at the stars surrounding it. Not only that, a lot of people don't know that Jesus isn't the first person who was born on the 25th day, was born of an immaculate conception, was born of a virgin birth. Listen, the sun is in the constellation Virgo on December 25th. Virgo means virgin. The sun was born of a virgin birth. That's what this I'm trying to tell y'all. This does not have to do with no man that walked on water. When they talk about a man walking on water, they're talking about the sunlight. When the sun rises and it hits the water, the sun is walking on water. When you look at the sun at eye level, you can see the sun on the water, y'all. It's all metaphorical. We know that even the Bible tells you itself that Jesus speaks in parables. This whole Bible is written in parables. Everything is written like that. And you're gonna have I see people saying that he wasn't born in December. And this is another thing too. A lot of y'all religions don't add up. Y'all all believe in the same person. None of this stuff goes together. But like, I'm gonna get back to what I was talking about. Osiris was an Egyptian god that was 6,000 years before Jesus Christ was born on the 25th day of December. Rose 3 days later. He has the same timeline, same exact story as Jesus Christ. He was born of a virgin birth. Dionysus was another Egyptian, or not Egyptian, but another cultural god, born on the 25th day of December. Born on the 25th day of December, born of an immaculate conception, all of those things. Mithra, born on the 25th day. These are all cultural stories representing what was going on in the stars, y'all. That's all this was. You're supposed to take these stories. The reason that they made it and they personified it was so that it would be easier for people to remember. They want people to understand and have a story to tell when they're explaining the science and educating people about the celestial bodies and the stars, right? That's what this is about. Let me go to these questions. Yo, my boy Kel in here. What's the deal with you, fam? Yeah. He said, bro, you're not talking about anything. Your ears don't work. Mandela effect. But if anybody wants to come in here and speak on this subject, y'all can. If y'all are Christian and y'all don't agree, peace, fam. Yeah, but like my boy Kel said, all of this is allegorical. It's just a story so that when we explain this to our children, it don't sound like we reading out of a chemistry book. And when they get older, they understand that, oh, this is what this meant. This is the type of person that I should be. This is the type of person Jesus was. So these are the type of things that I should do. They aren't real things that happen in life, because if they were, they would be documented. Hold on. Can y'all hear me? But yeah, there's no documentation. There's no real proof, because if it was, this wouldn't even be an argument. And Bam ETC says he has sources. I promise you, listen, y'all, we can carbon date Egyptian pyramids that date before the time of Jesus. And that's another thing with Christians. Y'all don't know y'all timelines. And if y'all knew the timeline of things, you wouldn't even believe in the Bible, because you would realize that it doesn't make sense. We have things that we can historically prove that predated the time of Jesus Christ, and you cannot explain that shit. Like, you can't believe in evolution and believe in Jesus Christ. Like, it doesn't make sense. You can't believe that there was an Adam and Eve, right? You can't believe that there was an Adam and Eve, and you can't believe that we came from monkeys either. You can't believe both of those. That it does not go hand in hand. So if you believe in Adam and Eve, then you have to explain evolution and how things evolved, right? And you cannot believe in both. So you have to leave out science. Another thing, somebody says the Bible lines up with your family history. That doesn't prove it to be true. That doesn't prove it to be true. Biggest thing, I need to start getting my stuff ready. But biggest thing too, the stories don't make sense. The stories don't make sense. The timeline of the Bible only dates only dates back 6,000 years. We have pyramids that predate 10,000 years before. Do y'all know what the term BC stands for? The term BC stands for before Christ. So anything that's BC happened before the time of Jesus Christ. So it's like that alone should let y'all know shit was going on before Jesus was around. And we can date and prove y'all to that. But anything that was happening during Jesus' time, you cannot prove that shit. There's no body of Jesus. There's no body of Jesus Christ. There's no body of none of the niggas that, I mean, obviously Jesus rose back to heaven, but there's no bodies of nobody that was dated during that time. Like, there's no artifacts. There's no nothing. And if it is, y'all can't prove that it was them artifacts. Like, it's not provable. Y'all have what y'all call evidence. Y'all don't have proof. Y'all have evidence. Evidence is we walk into a room, we see blood on the floor, right? That's evidence. That doesn't prove that somebody got killed here. That doesn't prove that there was a murderer, right? We walk into a room, we see two dudes sitting next to a dead body, right? They both have guns. That's evidence. That's not proof that they killed them. Somebody else could have came in this room, shot him in the head, and ran out. And these two dudes was just sitting there. If there's a leak coming from your roof, right, and it rained yesterday, that's evidence, but it doesn't prove that the rain is what caused the leak, because it could be a pipe busted in your house. So just because you have evidence, you still do not have proof. You cannot prove that Jesus was here. You cannot prove that Jesus did this. You can only show evidence, and majority of the evidence is coming from a book. And y'all are trying to use this book as a way to prove something. Anytime that you get into a debate with a Christian, the first thing that they'll do is turn to the Bible and try to prove it to you. Imagine this. Imagine I believe Superman is real, right? And you ask me, prove it. You tell me to prove it. And every time that I get ready to prove to you that Superman is real, I go to the comic book and show you something out of the comic book. That is fucking nuts. You can't use the Superman comic to prove Superman's existence. Like, yeah, well, this is where he fought Batman and this is when he joined the Justice League. Like, okay, we see that in the book. But how can you prove that to me that where's the event or where's the building that him and Batman was fighting in? Where is the Batcave at if he really existed? Where do you have a Batarang? Nigga, do you have a cape? Do you have anything that we can prove that, yo, this was Batman shit? Like, this is the exact whip. Like, we can't just be going off of what a book say, y'all, just because it sounds good. And I know that book resonates with a lot of people. It resonates with me because a lot of the stuff in there does have meaning. It does have value, but that doesn't mean that the stories in there are true. And a lot of y'all resonated with it, especially black people, because them is our teachings in that book. So what y'all have to understand is that, one, Christianity is not the first religion. You need to do history outside of the Bible. You have to do history outside of the Bible. You have to read other books outside of the Bible, y'all. I'm not here. I'm trying to help y'all. Trust me, I understand. It's some of y'all that's locked into this. I've been a Christian too, like I said from the beginning. I was a Christian at one point, deep into it, y'all. Deep into it. I'm not no more because I know the truth. I know the truth. Let me see. Let me go through these comments real quick. Somebody said, bro said Jesus was born 2,000 years ago. Prove it. You said Jesus isn't real. You're already wrong. Bring Bam into the live. He's not requesting to go live. Somebody's got to go live with me. Somebody request to go live with me and we can go live. They said we don't believe in evolution. Christians don't believe in evolution. Christians believe that a woman came from a man, even though every man has came from a woman on this planet. That makes no sense. They have pictures of Adam and Eve, whether they real or not, but which we know they're not real. But Adam has a fucking belly button. The artist couldn't even put two and two together like, yo, Adam came from, or Eve came from Adam. He should not have a belly button because a belly button means that you had an umbilical cord attached to you because you came from a woman. But all the pictures of Adam are depicted with a fucking belly button. Why? Because that nigga came from a woman. Period. Y'all have to understand science. Y'all have to understand science. It's really common sense when you think about it. It's really common sense when you think about it. Listen, y'all. Things that make sense in the Bible never would make sense in real life. They talking about Jesus was born of an immaculate conception, right? Jesus was born of immaculate conception. Imagine this. Imagine you go home and you get to the house and you talk to your wife and your wife tells you, she whispers in your ear, she says, babe, she says, the Holy Ghost stopped by and he impregnated me. That nigga's gonna lose his cool. I'm gonna just be real with you. He's not going for that. Nobody's going for that. If somebody right now comes up and says, the Holy Ghost got me pregnant, you're going to look at them and laugh. You're going to look at them and laugh. You're not going to believe. You're not going for that. If somebody comes up to you right now and says, the Holy Ghost got me pregnant, you're not going to believe that shit. You're not going to believe it. You're going to be like, you better figure that shit out. You better figure that shit out, because that just, no. That man will be around there trying to find out whoever the Holy Ghost was and get rid of him for real, because nobody's going for that. So that's one example of some shit that happens in the Bible that will never happen in real life. That's one example. Example number 2, Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark. Hold on, y'all. Let me blend this smoothie real quick. Noah's Ark is another story that doesn't make sense, right? So we have Noah, his wife, his sons, and their wives all building this boat, right? We talking about a big ass boat. First of all, niggas don't have a instruction manual. Ain't no telling what type of tools they had. They don't have no drills. They probably using mallets and makeshift nails. We don't even know what they using to hold this boat. Nobody knows how to build a boat. Noah didn't know. He wasn't a boat nigga. He was just Noah. He didn't have this intelligence. You get what I'm saying? So you got basically 5 people building a boat that could fit 2 of every animal in that region. We'll just say that region, because I think it's the world, but I've heard some people say that it was just the region that they in. Okay. So you have so many different animals, y'all. We talking about birds. We talking about lions. We talking about tigers. It had to have been every animal during that time, because according to the Bible, that's where the rest of the animals came from. So it had to have been a tiger. It had to have been a whale. It had to have been all these different types of animals, polar bears, all type of shit, right? Let's just say, okay, that's a big ass boat for one. That's a big ass boat you got to build. We talking about a boat about the size of, like, I want to say at least 2 football fields. At least. We talking about 2 of every animal. Don't forget insects. Don't forget spiders. Don't forget rats. Don't forget gerbils. Animals that live under the ground, like rabbits and shit. Like, bro, you are talking about a large amount of animals. Okay, we built the boat. Let's just say we build the boat, right? We build the boat. How the fuck are we going to feed all these animals? How are we going to feed all of these animals? Every animal doesn't eat meat. There's certain animals that only eat vegetables. There's certain animals that are nocturnal. It's certain animals that can only live in certain conditions, right? In certain weather conditions. So do y'all have a garden on this boat? Do y'all have a deep freezer on this boat to store the meat in? Then we talking about flies. We talking about every form of animal you could think of. How are y'all feeding these animals? First of all, how are me and you going to capture a lion? I'd like to see 2 people even try to attempt to think about going to catch a lion. Go try to catch a lion right now. Go try to catch 2 of them. Then after that, go try to catch 2 tigers. Then after that, go try to catch. We're not talking about no guns. They don't got no AKs. They don't have nothing. They don't have a tranquilizer dart. Then how you capture them? How do you capture them without putting them to sleep? Like, did you put a leash on this nigga? No, that's unreal. That is unreal. That's unreal. We're not going for that. We is not going for that. It's no way. right? So then let's say we do have a garden on this boat, and we have a deep freezer, and first of all, I don't know what the hell Noah and them is eating. I don't know what they've been eating. All right. So they must have a stove on there. They must have a refrigerator. They must have cups, spoons, silverware, a bed on this boat, all type of shit. They're on this boat for 40 days. Let's just say they make it, right? The boat stops. The boat stops. The animals just go back to where they was at. Like, what about the polar bears? Like, that can only live in cold climates. Do they just go back to where they was at? Do the penguins just go back to where they was? Like, everybody has a habitat here. You know what I'm saying? We can't just drop these niggas off and just leave them in the open. Like, bro, that's unrealistic. The stories just don't add up. But if y'all believe that story, but if I told y'all I just went and captured 2 lions, y'all laugh at me. Y'all laugh at me. So the hypocrisy of the stories in the Bible, like, and then Christians will talk about they don't believe in magic. That's magic. That is if I'm able to go capture 2 lions without it was some magic involved. It was some magic involved. Had to have been. Had to have been. Hold on, I'm going through these comments. Okay, somebody just send me a request. Yo, what's the deal,
What's
fam?
up?
What's up
What's
with you,
going on?
G?
Hey man, I want to let you know, right? I'm a Christian, right?
Okay,
But I follow your page and I listen to you.
facts.
And the reason why I do these things is because a lot of Christians, man, are not really that curious. You know what I'm saying? Been pretty much believing the same things for years. They don't really question anything, and they pretty much go on with the narrative. But I always make sure I listen to people that don't agree with me because it's been my interest for years. So for the last 5 years, everything that you tapped on, I've been studying. Because I got to have a reason for why I believe what I believe. It can't just
Man,
be why I believe it because I believe it. It has to be proven to me. You know what I'm saying? So,
exactly, bro.
so for me, everything that you're saying, I studied into it, man. And I just want to give you my perspective from a Christian, right?
Okay,
I personally feel like in order for a person not to believe in Christ, you actually have to have more evidence than you need to believe. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like
right,
I have a saying that says an atheist has to know everything because you literally have to be able to answer every single question in order to say why you don't believe something. But for a Christian, it's a lot easier. You don't have to answer every single question and say why you believe something
right,
because it's simple. You Faith is simple. That's how I look at it. But I believe that when you don't believe, it's complex. So now you got to have a million answers for everything. And any man
right,
that tells me
exactly.
everything, I can't believe somebody who tells me they know everything. So I always say, an atheist thinks that has to believe that they know everything in order to be right. So, you asked about historical evidences.
Hmm.
I would have to disagree that there's no historical evidences, and I know we can go through
No,
each.
no, I didn't say any historical evidence. I said there's no historical proof. And what I mean by evidence is evidence, for example, is okay, this is, let's say somebody says we found Jesus's shoe, right? That's evidence, but that's not proving that it was actually his shoe. You get what I'm saying? So there's a lot of evidence
Yeah.
that supports Christianity to say, well, this is evidence that the flood happened, but this isn't evidence proving that it was that flood. You get what I'm saying? It might have been around that. It might
Okay.
have been around that time, but there's no actual proof.
So all right. So let me put it to you like this. So each one of your talking points, we will have to literally go through. And I know we don't have the time for that. So as far as the flood is concerned, like how the Bible would say, the flood consumed the whole world.
Right?
Geographically, the flood happened in a certain area. So the term the whole world can also mean a certain area. So when somebody say, man, it wasn't that the story was a lie because it didn't happen everywhere. Well, people were more so concentrated in one area at the time. You know what I'm saying? So,
Okay.
so everything that we're talking about is just a certain perspective, but it doesn't debunk the whole idea. For one, every religion, every major religion in the entire world has a story of the flood. and you can consider that like a word of mouth, like, hey, this is what happened, and it traveled throughout every religion, right? And religion always likes to document history and their perspective on how it happened. So I know the flood happened. Now the fine details on how it happened may be debatable, but it doesn't mean it never happened. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't
Correct.
mean Noah's Ark never existed. So
I
I don't
agree.
fact that, oh, it never existed. I sit on the fact that, okay, it did happen, but how did it happen? When it say the whole world, did it actually mean the whole world, or did it mean that concentrated area? When it said one or two of every animal, was it literally meaning that? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, a lot of what we read, it could be metaphoric, like what you said. You know what I'm saying? And it has to be distinguished, but it doesn't mean that it never happened. And as far as like proofs goes, we have a lot of things, man. We have Josephus, right, who was a historian, had nothing to do with Christ, but he documented what he saw on his own accord. You right?
That's
We have.
but that's not proof because I could document what I see, and that doesn't mean that it actually happened,
All right, let me ask you this, right? So
right?
proof Christian is spirit. That's what we consider proof. We consider that when we go down and pray, our experiences, the Holy Spirit, everything that we walk, all this walk, we consider it our proof. Now, you can't prove that to anybody. I can't prove to you that when I go down and pray, my prayers are answered. You could say, "Oh man, that's this, and that's that." That is my proof. So our proof is personal. Now, as far as putting, that on the table and writing it out and carbon dating and all that, we will be disagreeing and going back and forth all day because you're not a scientist and I'm not a scientist. So when we're talking about carbon dating, we're just using it for our own personal agenda, but it doesn't make you right because I can use carbon dating and tell you, hey man, that date is actually off. You see what I'm saying? And if you go back and you use different books, because we know that the Bible's been translated, I can say, well, the incorrect date came from the translation because the original date, according to the Hebrew calendar, is different from the Gregorian calendar, may be different from the one we use now. So everything can be, you know what I'm saying, argued down to the T. But at the end of the day, my proof is when I go down in prayer and the manifestations that I see and that lines up to what was said. I never read the Bible before I became a Christian. I heard about Christ and I believed. So I received Christ through hearing. I didn't study my way into Christianity. I
Right.
stumbled into it by what I believed. So if I believed in the Holy Spirit, I saw the evidences in my life. I believe what the Word of God said. I believed in the transformation, and I saw all these things come to pass. I can never prove that to you. I can never convince you of that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I feel like people are looking for proof, man, in the wrong areas. Like you cannot study your way into this. It's impossible. You would have to dedicate your life to being a historian, to being a scientist, or you have to live that life. And a lot of us, we get on TikTok and we just talk, but we can easily fool the audience because none of us are professionals, bro. Like I'm not a professional Christian. And if you
So let
say,
me let me let me ask you something
go
real
ahead,
quick.
go ahead.
Cause as a black man, being that us are we both black is deeper than any conversation that I could have about Christianity with anybody else. And the reason is I have to ask you this. How much how much knowledge of black people or excuse me, melanated people do you have outside of slavery? Meaning, how much do you know about our race before slavery?
I have done enough studying to understand what I believe and what I'm looking at. And I have family members who turned away from what I consider truth to live out African spirituality or try to search for their roots and different things like that. So I have a well-rounded understanding on our people and where we came from. You know what I'm saying?
So
If that but
where do you believe that our people came from? Like what of our history do you know before do you know um like what do you know about us before slavery?
well, you well, now we go into demographics, right? So pretty much, obviously, where we come from is gonna be argued, right? So let's just say we started from Africa, right?
There
Obviously,
I don't okay, go ahead.
well, put it to
Cuz
you like this.
there's really no argument where we started from because there's only one group of people that can exist at temperatures of
Of
120
course.
degrees.
Right.
So
Now,
there's no argument about where we came from.
I believe that we are the original race, and every race that came after us was either through evolution or what other explanation that there is out there. So when we say our people, we're talking about everything because we
So
are the beginning of everything.
so do you know what melanin is?
I have a probably a general understanding of what melanin. You may have a deeper
So
understanding.
so there's a quote by Dr. Lila Africa that says anybody who has melanin that does not understand melanin is being tricked and being used with their melanin. So I want you to understand that melanin is not a color. It's a chemical that's composed of mostly carbon, right?
Right,
Carbon is what makes people organic. That's what makes something real or not real. If something has carbon in it, it's alive. If something doesn't, it's like a rock or something, right?
right,
Inorganic versus organic. So melanin is a chemical that is a superconductor. It allows the flow of electricity to move at super speed, right? Most superconductors are metals, and they can only be conducted at 0 Kelvin. Kelvin is like a temperature, and 0 Kelvin is like when the atoms are very, very still, right? So the reason what melanin is condensed sunlight, meaning that when the sun hits your skin, you're absorbing it. That's why you get darker, right?
right.
This is where the term sun gods come from because Egyptians, our ancestors, knew that we were condensed sunlight. This is why they call your spirit the soul, and this is why they call it the solar system or your solar plexus or the soles of your hands because this is where energy comes from, right? You were
Right.
born in the womb, right? The womb is at the solar plexus. You get what I'm saying?
I
So
fully
we knew that we were condensed sunlight. This is where the idea of the sun comes about. I don't know how earlier you got in here, but I didn't get into this because but now it's us. So I have to get into it.
a lot of
But
what you familiar with. Yeah.
okay, so we're condensed sunlight. This is where the idea of Jesus and the sun comes from. This is where the idea of Jesus being the son of God really was us, the sun gods. So before we encountered Europeans, there was no Jesus Christ. There was none of that. Like niggas was not believing in Jesus Christ, and that's why I asked you how much history outside of
All right.
how
So
much
let me.
history about
All right. So let me say this. Right. I agree with you on what melanin is, um, but I do not agree with the theory that we learned who Jesus was through slavery, or we learned who he was through white people, because the Ethiopian Orthodoxy has the oldest Bible recorded in history till this day. Right? Am I
right.
right on that? Right.
I'm not sure.
So,
I'm not sure of that. I'm not sure of that.
oh, you're right. You're not sure,
But
but I'm sure because I
okay,
studied. So not only do black people have the oldest Bible, right? That
correct.
predates what we have today. There's also artifacts that is protected.
Okay. Let me ask you a question before you go on.
Mm,
If Ethiopians have the oldest Bible, you know the letter J was not invented for a long time. We've all heard this debate.
right,
So
of
then
course,
we know that Ethiopians couldn't have been studying Jesus during their time, just off
of
that
course,
alone. It had to have been a different person. So if his name was different,
Mm-hmm.
then Christianity, like bro, I'm learning Spanish right now.
For a second, right? As far as his name being different, this is the worst argument, and this is not to insult you or anything, but this is
Uh-huh.
actually the worst argument that I've ever heard, because I don't think that we're actually paying attention to what we're saying. We're literally saying, hey, because the letter J never existed, and it was a modern, just a modern, letter for our times. That means this whole idea of a person dying on a cross and doing all these miracles and being born from, raising from the dead is not true. And
No,
that
I
doesn't
didn't
make
say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I know you didn't say
I
that, but a lot of people say because the letter J didn't exist, we obviously have to be talking about
No, it's not.
a whole.
It's. I get what you're saying. It's not that the letter J didn't exist, so this whole situation existed, or this person didn't exist. What I'm saying is we cannot use the name Jesus and say Ethiopians believed in Jesus. We
I
have to
never said
use the actual. But you said that they have. You said that you don't
we,
believe that slavery was the first encounter about people knowing about Jesus.
if that settles it, we can use Yeshua or Yahuwah. If
But
that
we
settles,
have to. But that's my point. We have
uh-huh.
to be precise because if that wasn't his name, what was his real name? And
No,
when we know his when we know his real name, then we have to read the doctrine that expresses that real name. And that doctrine, that original format, is not in the hands of our people. So we're reading something that has been regurgitated over the years and has been changed and things have been added to it. If you study history, the Immaculate Conception, or I think it was actually Virgin Mary, in the Council of Nicaea or the Council of Constantinople, where
mm,
Catholics, Christians, and all these different religions come together because they had to agree on a certain story because so many people was believing in different things. They brought in the Virgin Mary. So certain elements of the Bible didn't even exist until a certain point in time. So what I'm saying is, if black people did believe in Jesus when it was the
the
first
count,
Ethiopian Bible, we need to know that Ethiopian language so that we can understand that. You get what I'm
the
saying? Because
count I see it right was a debate over the deity of Christ because they were debating his humanity. They were debating his godhood, right? So as far as
what
idolatry,
do you mean when you say they were debating humanity and his godhood?
I will put it to you this way: the Council of Nicaea. Anytime somebody repeats that, right? Somebody was calling. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening. You went out for a
Hear me?
second though.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
hold
Somebody
on.
was.
Give me 1 second. I gotta shoot this text message. Give me like 1 second.
Oh, no problem.
Okay.
All right. So whenever I'm debating with somebody, right?
Uh huh.
A lot of times we'll get sidetracked into side arguments, and it's always it's like we just gonna be circling around because we started off as Ethiopia having an own Bible. Now we're debating the Council of Nicaea. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to that to make sure I was clear on what I was saying. As far as our people's history, we have the oldest recorded Bible that exists today. As far as slavery, um, don't crucify me for this one, but slavery began in the 1600s, right? That's when the slave trade
No,
was.
no, no. Slave.
Okay.
Wait. Before you move on, I want to say something too. When
Okay.
I don't know how early you joined in, and bro, I'm glad that we've been keeping this level headed and calm, and we
Of
just
course.
debating. I appreciate you feel me. I appreciate us building on this because this is the type of stuff that we have to build on. But what I said was I said that the reason that a lot of people resonate with the Bible, a reason that a lot of people resonate with the Bible is because it was ours originally. So I don't disagree with you on that. I can't believe you when you say that the first Bible was Ethiopian. But that's what I mean. Slavery did not start in the 1600s. Slavery has been going on for like, I want to say like 6,000 years. And that's why I asked you, how much did you know about our ancestry before slavery?
In
Because there,
the 1600s, obviously slavery, if you have to have an overstanding, has to be going on since the beginning of time, since the beginning of mankind. But as far as we're talking about in history class or whatever, I believe the date on record is like
right,
1611.
but
So,
that is his story is his story. You
right,
get
right.
what I'm
I get
saying?
I get it.
So,
I'm only
but hold
saying
on,
that to say I'm only
wait,
saying that to say is that our dates of Christ came before the recorded dates of slavery.
right,
You have
but
you
what I'm
have you have you, remember you have in Egypt you still had disagreements inside Egypt. If we're going to go all the way back to our people, you still have people that believed in one God. You still have pharaohs that came and believed in one God. It wasn't like when we go back to our history. we all just sat there and agreed. When you go back
No,
to our
listen.
history,
Let me
it was
let me just let me just explain something to you because I want you to know this. There was 3 slave trades in total. The first slave trade was the Arab slave trade. Arabs were the first people to take black people out of their element. I want you to know something. Black people had electricity in Egypt. They had mirrors in Egypt. The way that Africa is geographically made, Egypt is like it's like the middle of Africa is raised. Egypt is like going downward. You get what I'm saying? So the Nile River flows into Egypt like this. They were using water to stimulate electricity. All the pyramids are perfectly built to the dime. They cannot recreate a pyramid to this day. They were using sound. I believe this. They were using sound to levitate objects because the technology they have today, they can not still recreate a pyramid. We had books. We had all type of knowledge. They even created gunpowder back in the Egyptian times, but only the highest priests were able to use them. So there were 3 slave trades. There was the Arab slave trade. The Arab slave trade is where the Arabs come in. They start taking certain people. What happened was they infiltrated through the military. They used our military, and they start creating. They start mating with the royalty, and they became part of the dynasty, and they overthrew from the inside out. So now you have Africans all over the country spreading out, and there's war going on. So Arabs are taking over. They taking over for hundreds and hundreds of years. They're taking slaves back. This is where you have This is where you have African people that believe they're Muslim because they've been indoctrinated by the Arab owners, right? So now you have hundreds of years going by, hundreds of years are going by. Now the Spanish and Portuguese are coming by. Now the Spanish and Portuguese like, oh, they over there getting it in. We next. So this is where you got people like Christopher Columbus and I can't think of his first name, but his last name is Vespucci. They're coming over. They're taking Africans and they're taking them to different places. This is why you have Caribbeans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Cubans.
yep.
They're actually of African descent. The only difference between us niggas over here in America and niggas on the island is that their conquerors were Spanish speaking and ours were English speaking. So you have a bunch of niggas that are going by the term Hispanic because they speak Spanish, and Hispanic is not a race, right? So you have niggas that think that have an identity crisis because they don't know who they are. We have niggas over here that are speaking English. So the Spanish and Portuguese, otherwise, how else would Mexicans know a language that was created in a different continent? You get what I'm saying? How else would Caribbeans know a language that was created in a different continent? So you have Arabs that are taking black people, you got Arabs taking black people, putting their mentality onto them after they've come over here because Europe doesn't have any resources. There's no reason for Africans to go into another country and take from them because all the resources in the world exist in the African continent. Gold, everything, right? So there's no reason for them to go over there. They're coming over here getting everything from us, taking it back. This is this is the last one. The last slave trade is the most recent slave trade, the European slave trade, where they come over. And the reason why it was so bad is because I won't even get to that, but they start coming over here. I want to say this is like around the time where it was like the Dark Ages or something like that. And right after Europeans go to Africa and come back, they start inventing shit like the light bulb. All these technological advancements start coming out of nowhere when they didn't even know how to wipe their ass a minute ago. They were dying from diseases because they weren't cleaning themselves. So all of this shit starts happening. You got the light bulb coming out. You got Tesla finding out that there's energy in air. And a dude mentioned this very well. He said, if you were to study all of history, and he said for the first, let's say the book was 100 pages. For the first 90 pages, it would be mostly the same shit. Like if I was telling you, reading you out this book, like.
Let me ask you a question. I remember earlier you said that the story of Christ was written in the stars, right?
Wait, one second, brother. Let me just finish this point out, and then you can answer that question.
Okay.
The third slave trade was a European slave trade. This is where Europeans are coming up to America. One of the first ships that came over to Africa taking black people was called the Jesus ship. Just let that settle in. So we were believing in something completely different before we encountered these people. It was already black people in America before they even came to Africa. You get what I'm saying? So there was more than one slave trade, and what I encourage you after this I'm gonna let you go is to just go back and look at our history, bro. Because before we can know where we're going, we got to know where we came from. And a lot of our people are believing a religion that was created by another race of people that don't have nothing to do with us. They don't have nothing to do with us. We are the only race of people who don't know anything about our culture. We wear clothes that are European. We speak European. Everything that black people are doing, most black people are doing, is an attempt to be European. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
The clothes that you see it in our culture. I know you aware of it. The
Yeah.
weaves, the heels, all of that is European culture. So if they stripped our names, we don't even have African names. They stripped our names from us. They stripped our clothes. They stripped. And what make you think they didn't strip our understanding of God, right?
All right.
So
I can.
now, go ahead. Go ahead. You go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Whenever we get into a conversation about, and I'm just going to speak plain about what white people have stripped from us, I think we missed one point. First of all, we give white people way too much credit, right? Because if we're
I
the
agree.
inventors, if we have all the original everything, right, then that
Right.
already puts us up on a higher level. They have done nothing but try to reinvent, right?
Right.
Take what we already had and try to make it into their own. That's exactly why they have a white painting of Jesus. Now, me and you both know that there is no such thing as a white hair, blue-eyed man named Jesus Christ. That the world is saying that's who he is. Me and you both know that all these paintings of Moses and Peter and all these statues in Rome and everything, we both know that the Renaissance is depicting white people. So clearly, all they did was saw something and say, "I like that. Let me make it into my image." So when God say that I created man in my image, and the white man gets up and say, "Well, this is the image." Of course, black people gonna say, "Well, God is white, and we're gonna bow down to the white man." So I don't give white people credit for creating a religion because they did not do that. They're not. They came and saw what was there. They observed and they took part in it, and that's exactly how a slave ship named Jesus will come into play. They didn't create a religion and then say, "Okay, I'm gonna call it Jesus" or anything like that. They saw what was already there. We have all of the evidences that a lot of things were lost in the translation. So clearly, you can trick people through language because we have the Latin Vulgate, right, which the Roman Church had this Bible, and they would not let you know the true meanings and the true, so you couldn't even read it. So that's how we got different churches, right? The
Right.
Protestant, we were revolting against the Catholic way. So when we talk about what the white man has done, we all have to agree that he literally is trying to reinvent everything that was already there. So I cannot give him any credit for creating a religion because he has not. We have too many evidences to prove that he's just trying to reinvent what's already there. He's trying to make a white Jesus. And we
I
as
agree with
black
you.
people, when we see a white Jesus, we get you. We get people like you that get up and say, "Oh, no, 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 that can't be real." But the problem is, in trying to destroy the white Jesus, we end up destroying the actual Jesus and not realizing it because
But
we're not
this,
finding.
but wait, before you go any further,
Yes,
I agree with you on
yes,
everything. But what I'm saying is, and I agree with you, but if we know that the white man took our shit and re-rocked it, what
right.
make you think he ain't lying about what make you think he not
Because,
lying about it in his
we get
wait. What make you think he's not lying about it in his version? And all I'm saying is this: the Bible, it is a real Bible. I know that. You know that. But if we gonna be studying it, we not studying Christianity because that's something that the white man has created for us. That's not our version of it. So why are we practicing something that's not our version? Why are we calling our God the name that they gave it to him? And what I'm saying is we will never have the full understanding of that book until we have the original version and we can speak the language of our people and read it in that text. Because like I was saying before, we can speak Spanish. I'm learning Spanish right now. And there's certain phrases that's just like it's weird how it's processed. It's just like us. We speak slang amongst our people. You know what I'm saying? We know what certain words mean when we create them on the spot because of that cultural installation in of us of being around our culture. So when we have a language that has been transferred over thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, that interpretation is going to be lost at
Let me show
some
you,
point,
right? Let me show you something, right? The
right?
fact that this story has been translated over thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and it still has power till this day, right?
Right?
Is evidence that we're not talking about mind control. It's evidence that we're not talking about history. It's evidence that we're not talking about just being woke, right? There is a separate power in believing in Christ than you just reading or you just trying to free yourself. There's a separate power. Some people actually say that they're woke and they're using principles of Christ mixed in with their spirituality and using Hinduism and everything all in one, right? So my thing is, it's bigger than the white man. It's bigger than language. We talking about spirit here. So now when we go into spirit, I remember you saying earlier, and I agree with you, that this story was written in the stars, so people are trying to interpret in different ways. Am I correct?
Say that
The
one more
story
time.
in the stars, right?
I didn't say
The
that it
first
was written in
part,
the
everything.
that I'm saying that the stories that are in the Bible, yeah, basically they were taken from celestial events that were happening in the sky. I'm not saying that
Right.
the story is written in the stars, but the
Oh,
celestial events have been personified into a story.
okay, but we are saying that these events took places in the stars, right? Because that's what I'm saying, and that's how we got these stories, and that's and people that study the stars and astrology and all that type of stuff took these stories from the stars, right?
Right?
Now,
They
how
didn't they didn't
white
well,
man put it
let me just be clear when I say that. They're taking
okay,
celestial events. For example, the sun, the spring equinox. This is spring. So we're creating a story around springtime happening using characters. You get what I'm saying?
right? Right. I get what you're saying, but
Okay.
in my understanding, right, the story of Christ is literally written in the stars. This is how so many religions have pieces of Christianity inside of their religion. Because if you're studying astrology and different things
No,
like
no,
that,
no, no.
you'll be able to.
Christian. No, listen. Christianity is one of the newest religions. So Christianity has pieces of other people's story inside of it because there's like look up Osiris, look up Mithra, look up
I've looked.
Dionysus.
I've looked at all of them.
All these people predate Jesus Christ, right?
Right. But story. So right,
Osiris being the oldest one. Osiris
this
being the oldest one.
this is
So
why.
why listen. Osiris being the oldest immaculate conception, born on the 25th day, rose 3 days later. Why are we not learning about Osiris? Because Osiris is the first mythological person that has expressed this story. So why are we learning about Jesus if he's the last one that was
All right.
expressed? All I'm saying is if we are going to study this religion, we need to study it properly. We need to go back to the roots. We're learning from the newest form of something that we created thousands of years ago.
So
So
let me
in
ask.
order to get the proper perspective on religion, we have to go to the very first book.
All right. Let me ask you this, right? Inside the Bible, Jesus clearly says that there's going to be many that come in his name or that comes in this story of Christ. We can both understand that, right?
But that's
So
that's open for that's open for
it,
interpretation
it's
because
open for
you're saying that in reference of the ones that came before him. But if there's going to be people that come in his name and his image, that's referring to the people that's after him, correct?
okay, one thing is that, right? We have no one is agreeing here that Jesus was born on the 25th of December at all. So a lot of these evidences that people have, three wise men, the Bible never says three. A lot of people are comparing all of these deities and these gods and different things like that to a Christ that really doesn't even exist either. For one, because if we're just gonna say, because I heard you say the 25th of December twice, and I didn't say anything about it, but there is no evidence and there's no proof and there's nowhere in the Bible where it says Christ was born on the 25th of December. In actuality, the fact that there were sheep and different things and other events going on at the time when he was born shows that it didn't even happen around that time anyway. So my thing is that I'm trying to overlook these little stumbling blocks to get to a bigger point. The point that I was trying to make is this: the stories were taken from the stars. So one, white people didn't put nothing up there. Whatever way we want to interpret how it happened or whatever, they expected a Christ before Christ came. Every religion understood that even the first, if we go back to the Hebrew, in the book of Genesis, right, which predates the New Testament, it literally talks about the Son of God, right? So the world's religions, all these deities, everybody understood that there's a God that's going to come from heaven. Everybody understood that. So whether if somebody came first, second, or third, one of them is going to be true. Now, when you start decoding when in history, when was it said to come, people are still waiting on a Christ right now. Some of the
Right.
Jews believe that Christ that came was. So we all understand that there's something coming down, whether it came first, second, or third. We can all agree that something is coming down. Now, the person that say, "Oh, I don't agree with none of that," I'm not talking about that person. I'm not talking about that at all. Now, let's go back to our history as a people, right? Because a lot of people in our, like, where we're at, I'm assuming you're in the US. I'm assuming you came from the sort of the background that I would. So our definition of being woke is sort of a rebellion, right? Now, let's say we take this to the roots of Africa, right? A lot of these woke people aren't going back to Africa saying, "Hey, I'm joining with my woke people that's over here." The only groups of African that people are sort of joining with, you can go to Rastafarians, and they go into Ethiopia, based on Selassie, and Selassie was a Christian. He went to church. You see what I'm saying? All Rastafarians read from the Bible, which is the
I'm not
Old Testament.
saying, listen, I'm not saying that the Bible doesn't have valuable information in it, and I'm not saying that some of the stuff in the Bible doesn't resonate and may be true. I'm not saying that. I said that earlier. What I'm saying is, in the argument that we're talking about, is that, okay, let me just ask you a question. Do you believe that reading from the Ethiopian book would be way more accurate than reading from the original Bible now? Yes or no?
I answer that with a statement, or you just want a yes or no?
Yes or no, and then you can provide your statement.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, okay, go ahead. Go ahead real quick.
I
Because
believe read from the original Hebrew and the original Aramaic that you'll have a better understanding. But what I'm saying is
but
that
Hebrew isn't one of the what's do you know what the first Ethiopian language is?
no, I do not.
Okay, me either. But I'm saying this, if the Bible was written in Ethiopian language, we would have to read that Bible to really because who's to say that they didn't change a bunch of shit in there? That's all I'm saying,
That is true, and they have, right? They
right?
have. And that's the reason why, if you believe what you say you believe, you have to do those studies, but you cannot throw like, okay, so let's just call it the what if syndrome or the what if reasoning. You can throw a what if at anything, but it should never be taken literal, because I can literally sit here and say, "Hey man, what if you're wrong about everything?" Right? And you
Right?
can say, you can say, "Well, I may not, or I may not be." Those arguments we should never really use, because those are loose end words. They don't do anything for any of us. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna say what if towards you. I'm gonna state what I believe on the foundations, where I got it from and why I believe it. So what I'm telling you is, in the original Hebrew, which predates the Greek, it has a different idea of what took place. Now, the average Christian is going to be like a student. They're going to go to church every day or every Sunday. They're going to be accustomed to reading the same verses for years and years. You know the story. And until one day when they meet somebody who doesn't believe, and it triggers them to start studying, is when you get me from. So what I'm saying to you is, I'm not going to throw these statements out here about Christianity based on the majority not doing their homework, or the majority believing the same thing and not having any defense at all, right? It's to each his own, because you clearly sat up here and said that you were a Christian. So at some point in your life, you believe this to the fullest. At some point in your life, you live this walk. So that's why I can relate to you. When I started following your page, I knew you didn't believe to the certain, extent that I believe, but I knew you had truth, right? I know a lot of things you're 100% correct on. So I listen to what you're saying. I do my homework and I say, okay, well, there can only be one truth. So if I'm wrong, then clearly you're going to prove me wrong. I'm not, you can't prove me wrong with a what if. You can't prove me wrong with what if they change this. Nah, we got to go to the actual sources. And in the original language, which is the people of God, it talks about Jesus. Before the white man ever came in and say, well, I'm gonna enslave you and I'm gonna teach you my version of what you already had. You know what I'm saying? So I have to stick with proof,
Right. But
not what it.
what I'm saying is this though. The original versions of the Bible didn't teach people that Jesus was a real person. He was a personified entity. He was not somebody that was actually on this planet. That's a what if. That's a belief or not. But what I'm saying is the original people, our ancestors did not teach people that Osiris was an actual person. They taught that he was a mythological character that represented celestial events in the sky. What they're teaching in Christianity today is that the people in the Bible were real people. And this is why I'm saying that we have to understand our ancestral roots and our version and understanding of the Bible before we can practice any new version of it. You get what I'm saying? It's
Right.
it's like it's like it just
Can
doesn't make
I,
sense.
can I interject something?
Go ahead.
I wanna unlock something that you just said and to show you how what you just said it has a self built-in destruction into it. The statement blows up and it's built from inside. You said that Christianity is making it seem, I'm putting in my words that this was actually literal and that it actually happened and we're not supposed to take it that way, right? That's what you said. Now, I want you not to use a what if, not to use a maybe, but I want you to prove to me with evidence that Paul never existed. Not with because we didn't find his body. Not with the
But
what we
you can't tell me to prove that somebody that's you would have to prove to me that Paul is real and that he existed. I don't have
but
to prove
I'm
to
asking
you
you
that
for the
he's
same.
not real.
I'm asking you for the same. I'm showing you how it's destructive. I'm
But no,
asking you
but that's
to
not that's
it's
not
not,
you can that's not fair to do.
it's
That's
not fair
like
for you.
asking me to prove to you somebody that didn't exist that they existed. That's you can't do that.
I'm
But
only saying
I can ask you to prove to me somebody you believe existed to be true.
that for you to say it's not reasonable and right for me to do that is why I said it, to show you that what you're saying to me is not reasonable neither, and we're on level playing fields because
No,
you're telling you
that's
you're
not the same. That's not the
you're
same.
you're not literally asking for proof because your belief is already locked in. So you're just making statements. You're
I'm
not
not
literally.
listen. I'm at
I'm trying.
you're but if you believe in something and I'm
Right,
asking you to prove to me that it exists,
but you're not
you
doing that.
can't you
You're not
you
asking
you
for.
you you confusing me right now because you're
Okay,
asking me to
what
prove
I'm saying
okay,
is
wait.
this. What I'm saying is this. Literally, you are not searching for proof that Paul existed because your thoughts and your mind and what you believe is already locked in. So you're just making statements. When you say prove to me, that's just a statement
Okay,
because
okay,
by me
okay,
proving
okay,
that,
okay. Let's just say that is the case.
that is
Prove
the
to me
case.
show me proof then. If I'm somebody, let's just say I'm open to the idea of being a Christian right now.
Okay,
Prove to
perfect.
me what you're saying. Prove to me what you're
Okay,
saying.
all right. Number one, right? The fact that we have thousands and thousands of witnesses at different times in different areas that received letters from Paul that were not related to each other is evidence that there was a man writing
That
to people
is
at the time.
that's evidence. That's not
It,
proof. That's
it
not
is proof.
proof. No, no,
How?
listen. Because listen, if it's 10 of us in the room right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or let's just say it's 3 of us. Or let's just say it's 5 of us, right? We'll say Jake, Paul. We'll say 3. We'll say Jake, Paul, 4. Jake, Paul, Jimmy, and Zach, right? Zach gets shot in the room, right?
Mm-hmm.
By Jake. Paul and Jimmy write a testimony that this nigga attacked him when really he just shot him in the head. That's not proof. That's just evidence. Just a testimony does not prove something to be true. What is proof is us watching a video camera and seeing this nigga get shot by this nigga and he tried to attack. That's proof. So I don't disagree that you have evidence on what you claiming. I'm saying you don't have. There's no proof of this, because if it was, bro, we couldn't even have this argument.
All right, let me ask you this.
It's a lot of evidence. It's a lot of evidence supporting it. Would you agree? Would you agree on that? So then would you agree that there's no proof that Paul existed, because a testimony is not proof?
No, I wouldn't agree on that. Now I'm gonna ask you.
So how would you define proof?
I know I'm gonna. That's what I was getting ready to ask you. Just give me 3 different things, or even one, that you would consider as hard proof that Paul existed, or 2 or 3, or just one. What
DNA.
your definition? What is proof?
DNA. We need to see a body, a bone, a fossil, just it
Have you heard of the
something
Shrine of
that
Turin? Have you heard of the Shrine of Turin?
no.
Okay, the Shrine of Turin is DNA evidence that Jesus existed, because it was the cloth on his head that they found.
So how are they proving that it was actually Jesus?
Science had proved it based on the timing. You can look it up. Look up the Shrine of Turin. This is DNA evidence that Jesus existed. I can't go through the debate on how science broke it down and how they tested the blood and found out that there, a set of chromosomes and all that. I can't go through all that. You would have to do the proof. You would have to go through it to see all the proofs and line it up for yourself. But there is DNA evidence.
Now, see, this is where it gets weird, because they may have proof or some type of DNA, but if all they have is a cloth, when we can go back 10,000 years and see people that are building pyramids and find hundreds and hundreds of bodies of kings and stuff like that, they may not be the exact name or something like that, but we have more evidence dating outside of the time of Jesus to prove stuff that happened outside of the time of Jesus than we do of the time of Jesus. And it was closer to us.
Was Isis on Osiris to be taken literal, or they're just metaphors for ways of life and ways of living?
Metaphors.
Okay, so none of these guys at that time were all of them were just metaphors, right?
Yes.
So do you not believe in an original creator God that was masturbating, and that's how we became the being?
Wait. Say that again.
Do you not, as far as when you're studying African spirituality, right?
Right.
Is there not a creator God that was pleasuring himself, that masturbated, and that is how life came into being?
I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that.
But you do know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, study it out, because I don't know what section of African spirituality you're in. I don't know, but there's a lot of teachers from your category who teaches that there is actually one creator God. I understand the metaphoric
But
God.
see, there's just like there's different divisions of Christianity that
Right.
you would say you would consider these people believe in this group of thing and this people believe in this group of thing. It's the same thing with African spirituality. My concept
How
of
long
God
has it been?
is energy, because energy exists in everything. They say I believe God is everywhere and existing in everything. I don't believe God is a one man that just created or was jacking off and created us all. I don't believe that.
Watch this, right? Even though you don't believe that, that is taught, right? Now
Correct?
what I'm saying to you is that you don't have any proof exactly for what you believe. You believe into what you believe. You believe into it because everything that you're saying is based on what's not proven. You're only saying, well,
No, we
you
we we know we know that we know that energy exists in everything.
you
We know
believe that
there.
everything.
Listen,
You believe
listen, listen. No, but listen. There is energy in everything.
that's
That's
spiritual.
that's
That's
that
spiritual.
we can call it whatever we want. But
You
there's
believe
energy. Listen, there's energy in everything. It that only there's something that created us all, right?
you believe. Wait, are you saying
Listen,
that?
listen. There's something that created us all because we're all here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That had to have stemmed from some form of energy, correct?
Right.
Exactly. That is
Yeah.
what God is to me. That, just
Now,
that.
now, why do you say? Now, why do you
What
say?
G, what that energy manifested into
Yeah.
is open for interpretation.
I want to
I
show you
believe.
something. The reason why you said that is what you believe to you is because you cannot prove it. You're saying that that is what your faith is based upon, and I'm trying to show you that everybody's on an equal playing field. Christianity is built on faith. If we're gonna say, let's not even use the word Christianity, then, right? Let's say,
Right.
let's say if you want to practice, believing in Yahshua, right? That is based on faith. The same way what you're practicing is based on faith, because you cannot prove to me with DNA evidence anything that you're saying. We're both on the equal playing field right
But
here, and a lot
I haven't tried to prove to you anything upon DNA evidence. But if you look at science, you will see that there's energy in everything, bro.
I believe
There's
that.
energy. Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying is, even you being a Christian and me not being a Christian, we can all agree. Everybody has to believe there's an energy.
No, I
Even
believe
even
that.
if you believe, okay, so that's what I'm saying. But that's not a faith. That's real life. How else will we be here? That is proof that we're here, that
No,
there's
no,
an emanating
I'm
energy.
about to show you something. I'm about to show you something. Science can only discover the discoverable. I don't know if that's the actual word or not, but they can only discover what's already there, right?
Give me an
So,
example. Give me an example.
okay, energy, right? This is
Right.
proven by different formulas that there is energy, but at one point in time, people didn't know what that was. They're trying to figure it
But
out.
we
So,
can we can measure we can measure energy with technology,
true, true,
right?
but
Like thermal optics. We can see people's auras. We have X-rays that can see. Like, we have technology that can prove energy
but
to exist.
so we all agree on that because that is the
No,
popular.
no, 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 no. We agree because we can
All
prove
right,
that.
break this down right now. Let me go ahead and kill this right now. You said that you believe that because of scientists, but what formula have you personally performed to prove that the scientists were right?
Give me an example of what you're talking about.
Okay, I'm about to kill this. I'm trying to. I'm not trying to do this because I'm trying to. I'm not trying to like. First of all, I like you, and just understand that I'm gonna keep following you. You the man. Like
No
this is good.
facts.
But there's a lot of things that you're saying that I'm really not trying to address. I'm not trying to make it seem like you got holes in your game. But you said that based on scientific proof. You believe that there's scientific proof because you have not done any formulas, you have not done any tests yourself to line it up with what they're saying. So we all just agree overall that yeah, scientists has done it. So we all just agree and we're going to move on with it. Just like if scientists, you would say like, okay, the wind blew, and they'll just say, well, that's just the wind. Well, none of us saw it, but we just don't all agree like, yeah, that's just the wind. It's just popular.
But
I
at the
haven't done
same
any tests
but
myself.
at this but at the same time, you would say that the proof of Jesus is a headband that he has that scientists have genetically matched to him.
Let's make that correct. I would say that that's the proof that you asked me to provide because you said one of the evidence that you were looking for was DNA, and I gave you DNA. I never said that was my proof because I have my proof
No, but
according to God.
I asked you. I said, "What is proof that Jesus exists?" And that was what you provided to me.
No, no, you said you wanted DNA evidence because I asked you for one of three what you consider evidence, and you said, well, DNA.
right?
And then I
And
said,
that was me asking you for proof, though. I'm
yeah,
saying, you saying, I said that there's a lot of evidence surrounding Christianity to be true. I
right.
said, give me an example of proof, and that was the example that you gave me.
Yes, it was. Right, correct.
So that is an example of what you're talking about now, of us just agreeing that scientists, we just taking scientists' word, because you haven't had that headband in your hand yourself, and you haven't proven it
That's not, but
exactly.
I don't want to make it seem like that was my proof. You asked me for proof, so I provided it. But now if you're asking me for my personal reasons and what I personally believe, I had proof before I discovered the Shrine of Turin. So I didn't. It only made
What is your proof before discovering the Shrine of Torah? Because
spirit, spirit.
spirit,
Yes, of
that
course, because all true believers, right, have a lot of abilities that all line up biblically, and we all share the same natural instincts, right? So I have proof that if a brother is a real brother, there's going to be something in him that is spiritual that's going to line up with me, and it lines up with the story of Yeshua. So when the Bible says all my followers, true followers have love, right? All my true followers have spiritual abilities, right? And I'm continually seeing this. That is my living proof, right? That you know what? Something about this has to be true, because why is it that when I meet a brother, they have the same thing in me, the same spirit. We're both born of the same spirit. So that's my proof. That's how I continually to regenerate my mind, is when I see somebody who I don't know, but for some reason it's like we're related.
but once again, that's not proof. That's
I know it's
evidence.
not your proof. That's my proof. I said what was my proof.
But I'm
I'm
talking
not telling
about,
you that for you to use it as proof.
like I said, bro. Proof is when we can be spot on. Like, there's a lot of evidence surrounding Christianity for it to be true, and
You know why people
it's
can't believe stuff? Let me show you something. Because this argument has been going on for too long. A lot of people approach a situation and they say, "Hey man, if you give me proof." Well, let's go before that. First of all, a lot of people are not looking for proof anyways. It's just a statement, like I said. You already believe what you believe. So let's stop the argument of I need proof, because that just makes you sound good. Right? The truth
it
is,
it 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 doesn't make you sound. It's not that it doesn't make you sound good. It's that if you're saying that something is real, I need you to prove it to me. And whether what, because you don't know exactly my position. I'm open minded to what you're saying, but I'm saying that my thing is this: there's no proof that the events happened. There's no proof, and if it was, we wouldn't be arguing. That's what I'm saying. There's evidence that supports it, but there's no proof. So
what's your
until people can
one? You said
what'd
DNA
you
was
say?
one. You said DNA was one proof that you needed, right?
That's one proof.
And I gave you the shine at Torn. What was
But
the second?
we haven't proved that is that, like,
And you
what
know what I
can
just
we,
proved? You know what I just proved?
because
You
if
asked,
we don't have if we
no, no,
don't have
hear me out. Let me show you why I said what I said about let's put away this idea of someone asking for proof, right? You said you was open minded.
right,
You said give you DNA proof. I provided it.
hold on, my phone about to die, hold on.
Okay, I got you. I got
I'm on 2%. Oh, fuck. Damn, that's the wrong cord. God damn it. Is this not just working right now? Okay, there we go. Okay.
All right.
Okay, what you
So
saying?
I said
Hold
to
on, one more.
you that we need to put away the idea. Huh? Okay, okay,
No, I'm listening.
okay. I don't know why there's an echo now, but I was saying that when people are asking for proof, right? It just makes
Right.
them sound. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I was saying that when people are asking for proof, they're really not looking for proof. It just makes them sound good, right? And I'm not accusing you of doing that. But what I'm saying is when we ask for proof and proof is provided, and then you still don't believe it, then it leads me to believe that we're having a spiritual debate on faith. It's not about having proof at that point.
Okay, okay. But like you said if you provided proof to me and I continue to argue, then it just be a spiritual debate. But
Yes,
you have yet to prove to me that there's proof. That's what I'm saying. Because
you ask DNA.
but you I already said that though. I said I'm trying to read y'all real quick. You said that they have a scarf or a headband that says that this is Jesus's DNA. But another
Yes,
argument, you said that when I was talking about energy, you were saying that we're just going based off of what scientists say. So
right.
if that's the case, then you have to admit that what you're going off of is based off what the scientists say, and that's just what you believe, and you don't know that to be true either.
You know why I don't agree with that?
Why?
Because I told you that wasn't my proof. I
Okay,
said
so
to you,
what's your proof? What is your proof?
I told you, I gave you an example of
But
what
that's not
my
that.
proof was
What?
spiritual.
Okay, wait. Define proof. What is your definition of proof?
My definition of proof
Yes.
is really the same as yours.
Okay.
I don't
So
that.
so would you agree? Okay, so because you saying that proof is we're just using proof to make us sound good, but that's like if we put this in real life scenario and somebody walks into a room, a detective walks into a room and five people are saying this man killed this man, and the detective asks for proof, and everybody is just saying it's because of an experience that they had, but
Those,
they cannot prove, they cannot
those,
just say, they can't, wait. What I'm saying is this: they cannot just say, well, there's blood on the floor, and he has a gun, and this guy has a bullet hole in him. That's
are they,
not proof.
are they,
That's not proof. That's evidence showing that there was a murder committed. Just
are, let
like
me
the proof. Wait. Just like the proof for the flood. That's only evidence that there was a flood happen. It's not necessarily correlating to these specific events. That's just evidence supporting it. That's the blood on the floor is just evidence supporting evidence that there was a murder. That doesn't mean that this dude murdered it. What is proof is us actually seeing this man murder him. And I'm not saying that we have to actually see Jesus Christ to know that he's real, but I'm saying that if you don't have any evidence, if you don't have any supporting evidence to say this man, or if you don't have any proof to say this man killed him, like for example, uh if his gun didn't have any other fingerprints, if his gun didn't have any fingerprints on it from anybody else, right? And he shot a man and his bullet went through there and we can trace that bullet, that is proof. We don't, you get what I'm saying? That's, but evidence is just the supporting things around it. Do you get what I'm
are,
saying? What I'm
I,
saying is you're saying that I'm just arguing because I'm asking for proof, and you've given me proof, but you haven't given me any proof. That's what I'm saying. You
all
have
right, let me, and I just want to make this perfectly clear, right? As a Christian, as a believer in Christ, as a believer in God, right?
right.
The natural proof that you're seeking, I don't need that natural proof. I don't need that. And that doesn't make me blind because my God told me that if you believe that you should be baptized in my name and you go down in water and repent for your sins, that I will come to you, I will give you my spirit, and I will give you salvation, and you will be born as a new man. That is what happened to me, right?
Okay.
Now watch this. The Bible never said that there's going to be historical evidence provided for you to believe in Christ, that you're going to have DNA evidence for you to believe in Christ. The Bible literally said, blessed are those who believe in me but have not seen me. So Jesus addressed the issue of proof in the Bible by saying a man who has not seen but still believes, right, is a worthy man, right? And you may look at that was like, well, ain't nobody gonna try to blind me. That's just your response to that. But the Bible is not trying to attack people out here to say, hey, you got to come believe in Christ. Nobody, we're not slaves any longer. There's no there. I freely believe what I believe. I freely believed it, right? There was nobody standing over me saying that sure. I had the options of believing, African spirituality, Hinduism, Buddhism, and all these other different religions, and being an atheist. That is my right. And I chose something that was practical, that was reasonable, and had historical evidences, right? So my thing is that when people are in this mindset of I need proof, I need proof, I need proof. Well, whoever told you to begin with that is what is based off of. Everything that I believe is based off on faith. And
And
all my
I don't
from
I don't disagree with you on that, because you're entitled to believe in what you want to believe in. But what I'm saying is, I'm not believing in nothing until I have proof and evidence. Not that I don't believe in God, and I feel like that's a big misinterpretation on what a lot of people, because I wouldn't consider myself atheist, because atheists don't believe in God. I don't know what atheists believe in, honestly, because
right,
I don't title myself under none of that. You know what I'm saying? I would consider myself to be a spiritual person, but I wouldn't title myself to be anything more than me. You know what I'm saying?
right.
I am a representation of God, because just like God would be the ocean, we all the waves. So I don't disagree in what you believe. I'm just saying that in order for me to from my understanding of God, like, it's a lot of people who are just believing, they don't really have an understanding of what's going on. So, but outside, okay, I'm just finish on this statement. So outside of your experience of faith in Jesus, you don't have any other proof to support what you believe in.
You asked for DNA evidence. What is your second idea of what is
But
considered?
we already went over the DNA evidence part.
I
That's
know, I know.
invalid.
I'm for the second proof to your standards on when you say the word proof. What is the second proof that I need to provide to you? What is the second thing?
Something.
You
I
can't
need
just say
something.
you can't just
I
say
need okay.
you said
Tell me
DNA.
something. Tell me something though.
I believe I believe
What do
for
you
you.
have?
I
What
gave
do
you the
you
benefit.
have?
I
But
gave you
listen, listen.
I gave you the benefit of the doubt that before I asked you for three different types of proof, that you actually had three different types of proof. You said DNA. What is the second and third?
Okay, I get what you're saying, but I'm asking you. Imagine that I'm just a pretend I'm just a regular person that don't know nothing about nothing.
Okay.
Prove to me. Give me three proofs, or give me another example outside of your belief.
I give you a proof. I give you a proof. Before you learned what you learned, you believed because you was a Christian. So you had your proof.
What do you?
You just
I'm
don't believe
confused.
it anymore.
Wait. Go back.
Okay. You said if you was a person, right,
Mm-hmm.
that just wanted, just was curious about this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you just want to become a Christian. Were you not a Christian at one point?
Yes, I was.
So all your questions have already been answered. You just don't believe it anymore. So when you're saying a
I
person that comes up to you, now you're not a Christian. You're an educated, you're somewhat of a historian, you're spiritual. So I'm dealing with a whole different type of person at this point. So you can't just say average when a person comes up to you, because the average person that I meet don't know all this. So when I tell them that Jesus is real, when I tell them that
but wait, bro. You kind of just picking around the question that I'm asking you.
I'm not.
I'm asking you this.
Yes.
Regardless of if I'm spiritual or anything, outside of your faith and your experience, because what I'm saying is this: your interpretation of the Holy Ghost, your interpretation of the Holy Ghost is, I'm not gonna say your interpretation of the Holy Ghost, but your spiritual encounter with Jesus could be interpreted different from me, because I didn't felt those energies before. I didn't felt like I actually called what they call the Holy Ghost, where my body then caught on fire, feeling like I'm burning and feeling like I'm drunk. I felt that. So I know that that energy is real, but I don't believe that it was Jesus that did that. I believe, one, it has to do with music, because we know how music, I don't know if you know, but music interacts with different parts of your body. They stimulate different parts of your body. And the right frequencies can make you feel a certain type of way. This is why when females listen to certain music, it make them want to shake their ass. When you listen to certain music, you start nodding your head because you're in tune, you're in sync,
First set
right? So
didn't
wait.
happen.
So
First set
I believe,
have the
wait. Let me just finish this. I do believe that when you're all on an accord, you can experience those energies, but I may interpret that as something else. You may interpret it as that was Jesus Christ. So when I ask you for proof and you say that because of my faith and what I've experienced with Jesus, that's just your belief and and your experience. That's not proof because my experience may be different. So we can use each other's experiences as evidence, but we can't use it as proof. You get what I'm saying?
I
You get what I'm
understand.
saying?
I
Okay,
understand.
so we don't have to keep going. We don't have to keep going on the proof or evidence part. I want to ask you some more questions just to kind of
All right.
understand where you coming from, man. And I respect you, bro, because we've been keeping this level, we've been keeping this mature and adult, and we talking about a
Yeah.
serious subject. But
And,
I
I-
love
and
and
I
I
hope you
respect
don't.
you, bro.
I don't want you to misinterpret my energy and when I raise my voice as aggression. What it really is just breaking through and going straight into the point. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a talking tactic that I use to basically drive it home. So it's not to be misunderstood as me being angry or something like that. I respect your platform. This is your life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna come on here and try to take control or try to overthrow or try to embarrass you or anything like that or try to knowledge check you. I'm literally just trying to get to a point in the conversation. So when you said these are my proofs, right? What I want to show you was that the average person that walks up and they're generally wanting to know about Christ, they're not going to have all these pre-notions and all these things in their mind. So they're going to be open to the idea of, hey, if you believe in Christ and you feel these emotions and you speak in other tongues or you prophesy or whatever, then that's what Christ is. And they will believe that and they'll just go on their merry way and whatever becomes of them is what becomes of them. Now when an educated individual, whether they be from a different religion, a different background, upbringing, when they approach me and say, hey, give me proof, I first identify that they're not looking for proof. I identify that that was a statement, and no matter whatever I say, it will not be accepted. So now I have to identify that person as a faith based person. So we're having a faith based argument. We're not talking about proof anymore. We're talking about my belief versus your belief because we can run in circles all day. At the end of the day, you still gonna say, "Well, this is what I believe."
I kind of get what you're saying. Like you basically saying that somebody who has a fresh mind is more susceptible to just taking on an idea you present versus somebody who's educated who will actually look and pay attention to what you're saying. Because you
Yes,
basically saying that somebody who don't know what I know will just accept this information and just go about their way with it. That's my point. If you don't have any knowledge outside of Christianity, you will just accept this and go along with it because you don't have any knowledge of what you're experiencing. Because most people, I'm gonna say most people who are Christians have not read the Bible. You can agree.
let me let me ask. Yes, I
Wait,
agree. Let
wait,
me ask
wait,
you a
wait, wait,
question.
wait, wait,
How
wait,
long
wait.
were you for?
I was Christian for a while. For like, I was Christian since I was baptized since I was 3, and it wasn't until I was about 17 that I started realizing and started learning other things
And how
that
old
was
are
like,
you
okay,
now?
I'm 26.
Okay, I'm 32, right? So I have sort of similar timeline as to what you've had, right? To
Mm-hmm.
Christianity. You were baptized a lot earlier than me, but I have sort of a similar timeline to what you because I was brought up in the church myself. Now, what is the difference between education if we both sitting here with the same level of education? You may have a lot more talking points than me, but you have not showed me anything that I was not aware of. You have not taught me anything. You explained carbon, but I still had an understanding of what that was. There's nothing being presented to me to enlighten me about Christianity because everything that you said I've already studied out, and it doesn't turn out to be true.
Okay.
It turns
Um.
it, it
So
turns
let me let me let
it
me ask
turns
you.
out,
Let
and
me
that's
ask
it.
you.
It's just a belief.
So let me ask you a question. At this point, I just want to ask you some questions.
Yes.
So who do you believe wrote the Bible? Outside.
Who do I believe wrote the Bible?
Yes.
The Jews.
You believe the
or
Jews?
Hebrews. Okay. Let me answer that in a different way to where it's not going to run off into different things. I believe that men wrote the Bible in different times, in different places. People that did not have education, people that who did have education. I believe that thousands of people wrote the Bible, meaning that you have the book of Psalms, right, where different people wrote different things and it got incorporated. What we consider the Bible is nothing more than a collection of writings, right? So everything that's within the Bible is separate. There is no numbers, there is no chapters, there is no verse. That's what we have been presented with today, and that deceives a lot of people to look at it as just a book. So when we're talking about what the Bible is, we're talking about thousands of different writings from different times, different places, different groups of people that was collected and put together and translated to us. So when you say who wrote the Bible, to me it sounds crazy, but I still have to find a way to express to you to get you to understand so we can be on an equal playing field. So my understanding of who wrote the Bible is what I just said. Now, when I'm articulating that, I have to say which group, Jews or Hebrews or whatever the case may be. So I hope that answered your question. I don't want to keep going on and on.
It kind of does and it kind of doesn't, because I know men wrote the Bible.
Yes,
obviously, but it's like basically what you just said is a bunch of educated and uneducated people over time put a book together. And I'm not saying that it doesn't hold some consistency, but like I feel like
let me take that statement back, because I like to admit if I said something that's wrong. I'm not about pride. I'm not about, making myself look good. I was wrong for saying uneducated people, because educated people did write. So let's take away that from the conversation. If you want to hang me on that, you can. You know what I'm saying? But
okay.
let's just go with educated, and let me retract that statement. So
You,
that
you,
doesn't
you got
give.
you got the right to express yourself the right way. People make mistakes.
Yeah, I just want to express myself the correct way. Right. So
Okay.
educated people wrote the Bible, different times, different places, different groups, and all of this was collected and placed into what we consider the Bible today. If you want to break it down, it is the first 5 books. It was said that Moses was who wrote it, right? Then when you go on, we have the book Malachi, Isaiah, and then you have people that were writing for people, right? Like a lot of Paul's letters were written by somebody else, and Paul had them write it. So I don't know to what degree are you saying who wrote the Bible? I don't know how literal you want me to get, but just to sum it up, men wrote the Bible.
So like it's just, and I really don't like want to debate about it, but it's another instance where we're lacking information, because we can't even tell you the list of people that have written this book. We can't trace and specifically say, hey, R.L. Stein wrote the Goosebumps. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know who wrote the Goosebumps. We don't know who wrote the Bible. We can't even
But when you
pinpoint. We can't pinpoint exactly who wrote
when
this,
you say
if
the
they were
Bible,
good, if they were
that's
good
the problem.
people, if they were bad people, if they were manipulative. We
When you say
don't
who wrote
know.
the Bible, problem,
What'd you say?
because when you say who wrote the Bible, right? All right, let me show you something. All right. When you say who wrote the Bible, right? I just want to show you something to show you how that argument doesn't really justify what you're saying. This is a book, and I can open it and see the author. That's not the Bible. The Bible is a collection of books within books. So when you say who wrote the Bible, which letter are we talking about? Because you can't debunk it by saying we don't know who wrote the Bible, because we do know who wrote what books, where, when, and how. We got all the evidences that we need for separate books. Now, if we're debating which book,
Okay,
then
wait. Before you go on further,
uh,
what evidences where can I find the proof? I'm asking you a real question. Where can I find the proof of the people that wrote this Bible? Like, what can you show? Like, what'd you say?
Which book inside the Bible we talking about?
Any book.
Let's pick one.
Let's say Genesis.
Okay, so now Genesis, a lot of historians, right, don't fully agree on who wrote Genesis. Now, it is said historically that Moses wrote it. But if you ask me who wrote the book of Genesis, literally, and prove to me that Moses wrote this, I cannot prove that to you because I have not found proof myself, and I do not line my ideas up with the norm of Christianity of what everyone believes and just throw out, oh, Moses wrote it. I'm still studying it out, right? But just because I don't have the exact author, that doesn't mean that it's not real. That doesn't mean it was an agenda. In fact, if there was an author, it would still be debatable. If Moses said, I wrote this, it was still, how do we know Moses wrote it? So my thing is that these arguments doesn't really do anything. They're just really just statements by saying, well, we don't know. Some of the books we know for a fact. We know John wrote John. Because John said, I saw when I was on the island of Patmos. He said, I, John. So we know John wrote that. Now if we go further, we say, well, how do we know which John? All these arguments can go all sorts of ways, but we have evidences within evidences. It's not a perfect thing. Christianity wasn't meant to be a rebuttal for everything. Well, I know who wrote Genesis, so you're wrong. None of this is perfect. And a lot of us are still figuring things out. You're not talking to a theologian who went to college and has been studying this for years and stuff like that. And neither am I. We're both men having a conversation based on what we believe. So I don't want to convince nobody like, yo, you listening to a professional with a degree or anything like that. You're talking to a believer that has done his homework to the point where I can have this conversation. You know what I'm saying?
So why do people believe that Moses wrote the Bible? Do you believe that Moses wrote the Bible or Genesis?
Now, me personally, like I said, I'm still studying it out to align what was said to make it factual for me, but not provable to me. Whether I believe Moses wrote it or it was collected or, someone else wrote it or whatever the case may be, none of that is going to change the fact that I still believe is true. Now, if I'm specifically trying to find the author, which I just admitted, that I'm still trying to make sure everything that I believe, right, on it being said that
so
Moses.
Let me just clarify. Let me just clarify and make sure I'm getting what you're saying. You're saying, regardless of whoever wrote the book of Genesis, whether it was Moses or somebody that you don't know, you're still going to believe it.
Of course. Because
so the person behind the text that you're reading is not important on the message. Like you not knowing where this information comes from is irrelevant to you.
What I'm saying to you is that the average Christian is taught that Moses wrote the book of Genesis, right? I'm saying to you that I'm not so sure 100% that I believe this because I'm still studying it out, because a lot of people don't agree that Moses wrote it. A lot of people have good talking points on who they believe did write it, right? Correct. Now, it doesn't change the fact that what I'm reading is true, because we have more books to worry about at that time, like the book of Jashir that covers the same story with Adam and Eve, right? Are you familiar with the book of Jashir?
You said the book of who?
Jasher.
No.
Okay, so the book of Jasher is equivalent to Genesis. It was another book written around the same time that covers all the same events. I know you're familiar with the book of Enoch.
Yes.
Okay, so my thing is, if I'm just worried about the book of Genesis, I have extra knowledge stored away on these events being proven by different authors.
Right, but what
I
I'm
know I
saying,
believe Enoch.
I get what you're saying on that, but I'm saying that I'm just asking you this: regard you that the author of the Bible is irrelevant to you.
Genesis,
Yep.
not the Bible.
Okay,
We're talking about Genesis.
okay.
You
So
want to say Bible because I
no,
get it.
no, I'm not.
That's
I'm not saying. I didn't mean to say Bible. I meant to say
okay.
Genesis.
Just Genesis. Just Genesis.
So but when we talk about Genesis, okay. So does that? Okay, let me just ask you this question: is yes or no? The
Mhm.
person who wrote the book of Genesis is irrelevant to you, and you'll believe in that story regardless if it was Moses or not.
Yes and no, and I can explain.
All right, explain.
Yes, I believe that the story was real because it's documented in Enoch and Jasher, right?
But it's only documented religiously. It's not documented historically.
What do you mean? Now we go into the different argument because we can say the things that the things that they talked about inside of it. Are we going into the Red Sea? You know, did they discover that? You know, did they just the parting of the Red Sea? Do we have historical evidence? Do we have historical evidence for the flood? There's so much different ways we can go with that. So
But
before
the
we go,
flood doesn't. We have floods from weather, from rain. That doesn't correlate that attributed specifically to Moses. Because whether Moses was there or not, that
are you
flood could have
aware?
happened regardless.
Are you aware that there's a historical floods an historical flood
Yes.
documented in all religions?
Yes.
Okay, so that alone tells me that there was a flood.
Right.
I don't know the Bible. So now, if the Bible's version of the flood is different from that version of the flood, now I got to line myself up to figure out, okay, what makes more practical sense? But I already know that there's a flood, just like how I already know that there's a book of Genesis and these things happen, and I'm just trying to align it with the right author. You get what I'm saying?
Mm, not really.
You're asking me a question that made more sense if we're just talking about who wrote the Bible entirely as if it was a book straight through. I'm telling you that there's a deeper understanding behind that because the Bible has books within the Bible. So if we pick a book, and which we did, which was Genesis, and you asked me, um, do I know who wrote Genesis? And I was honest. I didn't give you the Christian answer and say Moses wrote it. I gave you the honest answer and say, you know what? I'm still trying to I'm going through this process of making sure that I align myself with what was taught because I'm not so sure. So then you ask me about the stories, and I tell you I'm a believer regardless because it's been documented elsewhere.
In
Genesis
other
has,
religions.
yes, it's documented everywhere.
Okay, but all religions basically believe the same underlying factors, that there was an immaculate conception, and the like, okay, for example, do you study Hebrew,
Yeah,
or
a
not
little bit.
Hebrew, but like Islam, and you know that like the Nation of Islam, and they're the I can't even think of the word right now, but
Right.
I want to say like the Arab culture's religious beliefs. We'll just say that
Mhm.
they basically just believe that Muhammad is the prophet as opposed to Jesus. But
Right.
basically the story is the same. Like the underlying principles are the same.
You know what that's the
The
case of? Telephone. It's a case of telephone because guess
correct.
what? That's right. That's what I'm saying. It's not a mass agenda to just come out and blind people. It's a game of telephone. It's a game of telephone
I
because
I
something
dis I
happened.
dis I disagree though. I
Okay,
disagree.
let's not even go into that because that's a different debate. That's a different debate. We're just gonna keep it on the level of it being a game of telephone. Something happened and different people foretold it in different ways. So you have the same stories, different versions. I can fully agree with that. I can fully agree with that. So by me identifying that this is just a game of telephone, I'm now having to become the investigator to line everything up and make sure what makes sense to me. Just like how you asked me about the author of Genesis. How do I know that's not a game of telephone? We know somebody wrote this, and I believe it's facts. So now, how do I know it's not a game of telephone? Let me do my homework to make sure it's not just being said. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's all I'm saying about that book. Now, as I've already said, that there's many books inside of the Bible. I don't call it. I call it a Bible for everybody else because they call it a Bible. But in my mind, yo, this is a collection of writings. We have letters in there that's not even attributed to what the masses are thinking. It's literally letters, like you have love letters.
So
You know what I'm saying?
do you believe that Jesus was a real person?
Of course.
So you're saying that the Bible is basically a big game of telephone,
No,
or the stories that have been passed down have been telephone. It has to be, because if the
no. I'm not.
wait, let me just clarify what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when we talk about telephone, we're talking about a story from one mouth going to the next mouth, to the next mouth, to the next mouth. And by the time we get to the last person, the story is going to have been different, right? So there's going to be things that are missing. There's going to be things that are added. That's just telephone, right?
Right.
So being that the Christianity is the newest form of religion, we can agree that there has been probably a lot of things added and a lot of things taken out and a lot of things misinterpreted. What I'm saying is, you believe Jesus is a real person. The earlier versions of religion did not exercise the idea that Jesus was a real person. So
All right.
this
Can
is
I ask
what I'm
you a
getting
question?
to. This is what I'm getting to.
Can I
People
ask you
have
a question?
misinterpreted the Bible and the people in the Bible to be real people over time because of
All right.
telephone. Not
I just
saying
want
that the
a
not
question
saying
about.
that some of the event listen, not saying that some of the events in the Bible weren't true, because there's stuff, the Bible is a lot deeper than Christians know. Like, it's so many stories within the Bible. But what I'm
Right.
saying is, the average Christian today believes that the people that were in the Bible existed and were actual people. Some of them may have, I believe majority of them was not. The earlier versions, the version which the Bible, the average Christian is reading today, like how we talk about the Ethiopians, they were not practicing, these were real people. The first Jesus was Osiris, an Egyptian god. We did not practice and teach our people that they were real people. We expressed to our people, yo, these are personified beings that are representations of celestial events. Europeans during slavery, Arabs during slavery, the Spanish and Portuguese during slavery took that concept and taught their people, this is real. These people are real. Because if we can control your concept of God, we can control everything. If we can get you to believe that there's a heaven and there's a hell and that there's somebody coming back to save you, we can convince you that you don't have to do anything to get out of your situation because somebody's coming back to save you. You get what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that our ancestors in the time of slavery, there was some that believed in Jesus and there was some that didn't. And the ones that believed in Jesus, I guarantee you, they were waiting for Jesus to come back. When how they talk about the end of the world and resurrection, or my bad, Revelations, and how the world's coming to an end, I'm pretty sure that Africans or slaves were believing that Jesus was coming back too. But the Africans that didn't believe Jesus was coming back was the reason that me and you are able to have this conversation today, because they was not waiting on nobody. You get what I'm saying? So we can control your concept of God and we can create this savior mentality. This will stop black people. This will stop black people from trying to get out of the situation they're in. And that is a lot of black people today are waiting for Jesus to come back. They're not trying to do anything to get us out of our situation. And this is why I brought up melanin, because outside of what melanin does, you got to understand what melanin makes us. You have to understand that every drug and product is based on our melanin. The word chemistry, meaning
All right. Can I ask
chem,
you a question?
the word chemistry coming from chem, history meaning the study of, chem coming from chemet, meaning black. So chemistry is the study of blackness. It's the study of melanin. This
All right.
whole
Can I ask
this
you a question?
Go ahead.
But you're teaching me a lot, and I don't want to miss all the points that you said. Now, you clearly just made the statement that people who are waiting on Christ to come back has not done anything to get us out of our situation, right?
Right.
So what was Martin Luther King's religion?
I don't support Martin Luther King.
I know, I get that, but I'm just asking, what was his religion?
He was Christian.
Right. And what has he done for our people?
What he has done for our people is
Mm-hmm.
continue them to be in a submissive position. Because when we look at, if we compare Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X, what was Martin Luther King teaching? Turn the other cheek. Get out and march. That's
Okay.
not taking. Listen, wait. That's not taking action. Martin Luther King has further made our people believe that not doing anything is a thing. Malcolm X was really teaching our people. He was really out here. Bro. Martin Luther King was a puppet, bro. During a time of bro, you got to think about this. During the time of segregation, where they would have a nigga come in the middle of the city and lynch him in front of everybody and send postcards with this nigga. Do you think that they would really have this nigga up talking about all these people, bro? Bro.
Did they not kill him?
Bro, they killed him. They did.
You just said not have him up and talking like that, but they did kill him.
He did influence the righteous idea of feeling good about being black. He was a staple. But there's other people in this world that they will use. It's like mixing the lies in with the truth. It's no better lie than some lies that's mixed in with the truth, because it's hard to discern. You get what I'm saying? So in one aspect, he's telling us to be good about who we are, but in another aspect, he's telling us not to fight back while people are spraying us with water hoses and all this other stuff. Malcolm X was not teaching. Right? Malcolm X was not teaching that.
Malcolm X.
That is right. Listen, Malcolm X was way more teaching us. Listen, wait, hold on, let me finish. Malcolm X was teaching us way more than Martin Luther King ever taught us. Period. Why does that nigga have a day and Malcolm X don't? Why don't Shaka Zulu have a day? Why don't none of our black people that was fighting for us have a day? The only nigga they gave a day was the nigga who was telling niggas not to do anything and turn the cheek the other way. The only nigga they gave a day was a nigga who was preaching their religion that they gave him. And they still killed that nigga at the end of the day. Malcolm X was a real nigga, bro. He was a real nigga. And even though Malcolm X was still in the religious area, he was still exploring and getting into the history and understanding our people and understanding the mindset of our people. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's my thing. So Christianity is created this mentality into men. Not only that, but another thing that Christianity has put into the minds of black people is that and I'm not gonna say all black people, or I'm gonna say Christianity for people, period. Another idea that has been implemented to the minds of Christians is that Jesus or a subconscious dislike towards women, a subconscious hate towards women, because men will blame women for the reason that we're in this predicament, because Eve ate the apple. And I just seen a nigga on Instagram talking about if it wasn't for y'all, we wouldn't be in this situation in the first place. So Christianity has aided black men, white men, and all type of men to put women beneath us because Eve supposedly ate the apple. So you can see how Christianity has created a disconnect between the man and the woman, when in real life, every man has come from a woman. There's no man on this planet there's no woman on this planet that has came from a man's rib. You get what I'm saying? Even the pictures they draw of Adam, this nigga has a belly button. But if Adam didn't come from a woman, then why does he have a belly button where his umbilical cord is? That's another reason why I disagree with Christianity. I would like to ask you another question, because I believe that Christianity is built upon the premises of pedophilia and ancestry. So I have to ask you about that, because where did all of Adam and Eve's descendants come from if it was just Adam and Eve?
Okay, so you made a lot of statements and you said a whole lot. You had a whole lot of points, and there's no way for me to touch on each of these points. And I understand you're expressing yourself, and I totally get it. We started off talking about what is Christianity done for our people, right? And I said Christianity
has put our people into a waiting on a savior mentality.
Okay, I
And
get
then
it.
okay.
And
And
then
and then you
Martin,
reference Martin Luther King
right,
as being an example of what Christianity has done.
right, and then you debated that. I fully understand that.
Okay.
And now we're talking about women. So it would be unfair for me to sit up here and try to, give a statement to your statement. I want to be able to give my, give a statement to your statement. I want to be able to give my.
Hold on, brother. You went out. You went out. You went out.
But you
Hold
gave
on,
me
hold on.
so much.
Wait, fam. You went out
Okay,
for a second. You said the last thing I heard you say
okay.
was something about statement to give
The
me a statement.
conversation a little bit unfair because you gave a lot of great talking points, and in order for it to be even, I would have to address each talking point. So
Okay.
if we're talking about Christianity putting our people further in bondage, right? Which was the
Right.
whole point why you're against it. Am I right? Right?
That's one of them.
Okay. So let's just use that as the category for why what you said about Martin Luther King and why he wasn't a great example and why they let him reign. Right? Now, watch this. Before we understood what the Bible was teaching, the white man was saying, hey,
Hold on, fam. Everybody in the
can you hear me?
comment section, double tap the screen so we can get some hearts and we can get some likes and some more people in here. But go ahead, bro.
Okay, sorry about that. Now we're talking about Christianity further putting our people into bondage, right? Now you can only go
Correct.
into bondage if you are ignorant and unknowing. Now, what I know about Christianity does not have me in
Wait,
bondage,
let me just clarify. When you say go into bondage, what exactly do you mean?
meaning that you're being deceived and meaning that somebody is over you in a sense that someone is using this to control you to keep you in a certain position or to keep you sleep while they capitalize on something that you could have been taken advantage of.
Okay.
Right. So I'm specifically saying that if you know Christianity, if you actually read the Bible, there's no possible way somebody's gonna come in and tell you that there's a white God, a white Jesus, and that you should, uh, listen to me because I look like him. There's no possible way that somebody's gonna come tell you that um all these people that existed were white and none of them were black. None of you guys had anything to do with this history. This is our history. This is our God, and you basically need to submit yourself to us in some form of way because you know this is all ours here. You see what I'm saying? If you actually know and you actually study, your understanding is not going to line up with what's being told to you. Because when we're talking about Egypt and all these places, I'm led to believe that okay, you know what? We're talking about African people. We're talking about people of a darker skin here. So how are white people inserting all these images?
Hold on, fam. You went out. All right.
Hello?
You said
Okay,
how
sorry
white
about that.
people
Somebody
are inserting
calling.
all these images. That's where you left
Yeah,
off.
you're gonna start. You're as you study the Bible, you're going to continue to ask questions about where do these things come from, because I don't have a chapter and verse that tells me that Jesus had blonde hair, right,
Right.
and he was of lighter skin. I don't have that. I do have his skin is like bronze, so that leads me to believe his skin is darker. I do have his hair is like wool, so that leads me to believe his hair may have been curly. So when I study these things out, nobody can come tell me that this is what I need to believe about it, because the evidence itself, and I say evidence is because that's what we want to go off of. I, these evidences are not aligning with me being in darkness. It's not aligning with me being in chains. And if that white person or whoever that's trying to keep me in bondage believes the same Bible, then he's not going to try to keep me in bondage, because the Bible clearly speaks against this type of way of life. It's fair to everybody.
Wait.
Now,
I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
the Bible, if both sides, if white men who put us in slavery
Right.
actually believed and actually lived what the Bible said, there would not be this killing, this raping, this lynching, this mind control. There would not be any of that. That's their own agenda. That's their hijacking. They use what they saw as a tool and figured out ways that they can use it against you and keep you into darkness. Right? But the evidence itself does not have anything to do with what was being told to us when we were slaves. It has nothing to do with that. Now, you said you talked about women and Adam's belly button and different things like that, and how Christians sort of look at women into being bondage. Now, I want to challenge you with something. Because this statement is a good statement, but then when it hits a brick wall, we both agree. And it's still going to be one-sided to women. And I'm going to prove it to you. Naturally, because your statement is way more dangerous than mine. Because that goes into all women should be equal to men, and women, should be allowed to play basketball on the same team as a man.
I don't agree with that.
Me neither. But the fact that we don't agree shows some level of discrimination towards women. That's a fact.
That's not discrimination, because equality.
Wait. Let me say this.
Equality and fairness is two different things.
I'm gonna prove
just
something
because
to you.
I don't believe that you're equal to me doesn't mean I'm not going to treat you with fairness and respect. Just because you get what I'm saying. So I'm not saying that.
Quick point. The reason why I say it's discrimination is because you can't tell that to a woman who doesn't believe your idea on what you're saying. If she believes that I'm strong enough to play on this basketball team and I can compete with you guys, then what rule and what law governs the fact that I cannot do this? This is why we have all these movements popping up, because people are fighting for what they believe they should have the right to do. So what I'm saying to you is, when we try to throw Christianity under the bus by saying, oh, this is what's really keeping black women in bondage, that's a lie. Because
no, I did not say that. I said the Adam and Eve story has created a disconnect between black men and black women, and I've seen it from my own eyes. A man say, the reason we are in this situation is because of y'all.
Watch this, right?
I have proof that this story has led people to believe that women are less than men, and they're the reason we're in this circumstance. I'm not saying that women should be playing football and basketball with niggas, because if that's what you feel like you want to do, then create you a sport league where men and women play together. But we know genetically a woman will not be able to be as strong as a man through levels of testosterone and all that. There will be exceptions. But
let me ask you a question. Now that you said that, and we're talking about the Bible, right, which is the basis of there's a disconnection between men and women, because some people interpret it to be that way. I'm gonna ask you a question. It's very dangerous, but I'm telling you that straight up. Do you believe that men are superior to women?
No.
You don't believe that?
No.
Okay. Let me ask you through scenarios. Do you believe a man is naturally stronger than a woman if we both had to, lift something?
Let me retract on that statement. I believe that we all wait. I believe that we all have our ups and our downs, and that's why I don't listen. Like I said before, I don't agree that we're equal. I agree with you on that. We're not equal.
If we're not equal, then someone has to be superior.
No,
because
not necessarily. Because we can all be stronger in different points. The person who's bigger and weighs 250 may be stronger, but the dude who's 150 is going to be faster.
All right.
So that doesn't mean that he's superior. That just means that he has a stronger suit in this area. Just like women are more emotionally responsive than men are, and men are more logical. That doesn't mean one is superior than the other. That just means we're not equal. That don't mean that. That don't mean that.
Okay. So that's right.
A 6 foot. That don't mean a 6'7" nigga can't. That don't mean a 4'5" nigga can't beat a 6'7" nigga just because they're not equal. You get what I'm saying?
So watch this, right? So watch this. I do not believe, right, that we are equal. I believe that men with an educated explanation are superior. You know why I believe that? And it's not, let's not even deal with the Bible. Let's just deal with the fact that nature clearly shows me that as a man, naturally, my mind is for me to protect my wife, not for my wife to protect me.
Correct.
My mind is that I don't want my wife to go out here in a situation where you have men who are obviously stronger, and women can get kidnapped. All these things can happen to women out there, which already have happened. My mind is to say, you know what? I have to construct my mind to live in this world, to know that there is a protection that's supposed to happen for children and women naturally. So naturally, men are protectors. Women don't just wake up and think, well, there's no equality here, so my job today is to protect my husband, and I'm going to take on his role. That is unnatural. So naturally, I'm going to think by nature that men are superior. This has nothing to do with the Bible.
No. And I'm gonna tell you why what you said was right up until where you said you're superior. Because listen,
What?
listen.
Can we
You're a
use
man. You listen. Wait. Let me just say this. You're a
first?
man.
Let's
You
replace
feel like
superior.
you're more. You feel like you're more superior. But let's take the woman. Wait. Let's take the woman out of the equation. Where does that leave you? That leaves you with not being able to reproduce. So to try to say that the man is more superior and he can't even reproduce himself without the woman means that he needs the woman just as much as the woman needs him. So there is no one's better than the other, because listen. I want to bring you some science real quick. Do you know what an X and a Y chromosome is?
I remember this from high school.
Okay. So
I know about the X and the Y chromosomes. Yeah.
The X chromosome, I'm not an expert on this, but I do know this. The X chromosome represents the woman, right? The Y chromosome represents the male. The X chromosome is 3 times the size of the Y chromosome. A woman has 2 X chromosomes, a man has an X and Y chromosome. We are defective women. I'm gonna explain this to you. When you're born, do you have children?
Yes, 3.
When you had your children, they said it was a certain amount of time that they could not determine if it was a boy or a girl, correct? Because it was a girl at first.
Yeah.
It's not up until your first couple months of life that you become a man. You get what I'm saying? That's when they determine, because naturally you're a woman. This is why we have nipples that don't work. You get what I'm saying? We have nipples that don't work. Why? Because our nipples are genetically defective, and our extremities, like our penis, our nutsack, is the inside out version of a woman. It's their ovaries are on the inside, and their clitoris, how it looks similar to a penis sometimes, it's the exact opposite of us. So being that the X chromosome is 3 times the size of a Y chromosome, that means that the slice of pie came from the pie. We can't make a whole pie out of a slice of pie. You get what I'm saying? You have to take a slice of pie out of the pie. So genetically, we know that women are more superior in certain areas. I'm not gonna say more superior. Excuse me.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Let's take the word.
Wait.
Because
So
that's hanging.
what I'm saying is, as a man, to just think that you more so also superior. It's a belief that has been instilled into us. But when you look at the genetics, all men come from women, bro. The Y, Adam had, if Adam was real, that nigga had a Y chromosome. He had an X chromosome. Eve had two X chromosomes, 3 times the size of that nigga. Women have emotional intelligence. Niggas always talk about women being emotional. They have emotional intelligence. Emotion is an intelligence. You have to be smart to understand intelligence and to convey intelligence. The whole world is based off of women. Like, niggas will do look at the majority of men and what they will do to get women and to be around women. You will take care of your woman without her having to do anything. You can have a woman, babe. I'll pay the bills. I'll go out here and work hard as hell. Why? Because that's your queen, and she get to sit and be peaceful and relaxed because she is the most valued creature on this planet. Period.
Right. And something. Everything that you're saying is definitely true. I'm aware of the science that teaches what you're talking about, and when I say true, I'm talking about the evidences that you're presenting. Now, my belief, according to these evidences, are going to be subjective on how I look at it, right? So when I say true, I'm saying that everything that you said has proof to it. There's science, everything. I'm not debunking any of that, and to that I say, hey, I agree with everything listed. Now let's deal with perception of these things, right? My perception of men and women did not come from my Christian upbringing, because when I first got married, I wasn't a Christian then. I was becoming a Christian, so I did not know how to look at a woman before I became, just literally taking the walk seriously, not just being in church and stuff like that. As a child, I was in church and all of that, but it didn't, train my mind to think like, oh, men and women this, because my grandmother, right, was a pastor and a preacher. And a lot of men don't believe a woman should be a pastor or a preacher. But my grandmother.
Why do they believe that though?
Before I go into that, let me just keep describing what I'm saying.
Wait. Why do most Christians believe that a woman should not be a pastor?
Because you have a chapter and verse that says that.
That says what?
That a woman should not preach.
So why shouldn't a woman preach?
Before we go on is why I wanted to finish my statement, because everything.
Wait. Just explain that one question right there. Why should women not be able to preach? What? Because that means in that statement is saying basically that a woman is not eligible to preach because she is not equal to a man, or because the man is more superior. That's not fair. That's not because how is a woman not able to preach her experience and to preach?
Okay, that's not really fair, because not only have I not answered, but I didn't even finish what I started out saying in the first place, leading up to this.
Okay.
Because not to be avoided. This is to be dealt with. However, I have to, have a fair, just like how you speak until you get to your climax, your point is what I was trying to do. This is not me trying to avoid that, because we got to deal with this. So I'm saying that before I knew how to treat my wife, right? My natural mindset being in a relationship with her was to protect her for years before we decided to get married. And don't lose me here, right? So my mind wasn't constructed like going into a boyfriend girlfriend situation like, oh, I knew what I was taught in church about a woman not saying this and not saying that. So it created a dysfunction between me and her before we decided to go and give our lives to Christianity, right? That's not how we were together. We've been together about 10 years, and we weren't Christian until probably about 5 of this, right? Or about, I want to say maybe 4 of this of these years. So we already had natural experiences to teach us what religion can do, what it's capable of doing, and how it would train your mind, because we were not Christians prior to us meeting, right? So now let's look at this through the lens of a person who, is looking at this on the surface of men and women, just like what you said about the disconnect. That's what we're going to deal with now. Now, of course, the Bible teaches, which we both are talking about, that argument that men came first, and from the man came the woman, which obviously you don't agree with that because you stated the scientific proof that you have. And I stated that everything that you did say was proof. However, I may look at it through a different lens, or I may interpret it as something different. I said all of that. None of anything that I've said was to digress or to go into anything. Right now, to deal with what you just said about why men believe that a woman shouldn't preach or whatever the case may be. First of all men inside the church do not believe that, right? I have pastors who have churches who they allow women to preach, right? So let's just not say, oh, Christianity as a whole, doesn't allow women to preach or teach or whatever the case may be. That
Right,
is
but I'm
subjected to
Christian.
whoever is
But
interpreting.
that's what the Bible itself says. So
That is
it's a scenario where we just taking out what we want to believe in the Bible. Because
no, it's not.
if you get what I'm
No,
saying? Like, we just
I said,
picking certain things that we want to believe out of the Bible, and I can do that too. I can be like, this is right, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong. But as a whole, we know that it's a lot of confusion in this book, and that's my whole point, is that people are it's not, it's you an exception, bro. You a person that studies and believe this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, not study and believe, but you a person that actually goes into depth. But me and you both know, bro, majority of the people at church is not reading the Bible, and they just going off based off of what people are talking about. And that is one of them statements. The Bible, the woman shouldn't preach. You know what I'm saying? And here's an example of where the Bible is presenting information that we know is wrong. Like, a woman shouldn't be able to preach. Your grandmother was a preacher. So we have a book that is telling people wrong things. That's just one example out of over 1,000 pages in that book. How many other examples could be wrong? Like Adam and Eve, right? Like the Noah's Ark situation. So now we get to pinpoint and get to picking out stuff. This don't add up. This don't add up. This don't add up. So like I said before, I believe that the Bible has proof and truth to, not proof, but truth to it. So, and as far as morals and how we should do certain things, but there's a lot of shit in the Bible that don't make sense and
all right,
don't add up, like that example.
let me
What I'm
address
saying.
that. Let me address that really quick. For one, a lot of people who believe one-sided according to what they read are not educated, because the Bible clearly teaches submission to one another in a marriage. It clearly teaches that. It
Okay,
clearly it clearly teaches a healthy balance on how a husband should treat a wife and how a wife should treat a husband. There is no she's a woman, so keep her under your feet scriptures. There is none of that. Now, when Paul wrote that to the Corinthian church, right? A lot of people would say, well, this is the idea of how Paul feels about everything. But why aren't we doing textual studies to find out why would he write something like that? Who did he write it to? What were they doing? What was going on at the time for him to address something on that level? Because that is not found. That is not found in some of the other churches that he wrote to, right? So what I'm saying is this: there are reasoning behind why certain things are written, and when I do my homework, I start realizing that, listen, on the surface, when you read something and you just read it like a book, you don't even see what was really going on. Who was he writing it to? What was happening? Why did he say that? Now, a lot of things was happening in that church, right? A
okay.
lot of things
All
was
right. So
going
wait. Let me just stop you for a second. I'm gonna ask you a personal question. Why do
on.
you think in the Bible it says that women should not preach?
Why do I believe it says women should not preach? I believe, from me reading that in the book of Corinthians, it was teaching against what was happening inside the church. So it was like a rebuttal to what was taking place inside of that church, and what the women agenda was going on, trying to practice some sort of dominance over men inside of the church at that time.
So basically, you think
so it was not.
basically you think that
So what
basically
I'm saying
you
is
think
this.
that women were rebelling in the church against men, and
What
somehow out of that they weren't able to preach.
what I'm saying is that inside the Corinthians church, hear me?
Yeah, you
Can you hear me?
you back, you back. Yeah.
Inside of the Corinthian church, there was a lot going on at the time, and a lot of these people were immature, so they were acting and
Can
doing.
you give me a time frame? Can you give me a time frame?
What do you mean, like, as far as history, when
Like
it's
when this, as far as the Corinthians and when this was going on?
when you say time frame, you want a date in history?
Like not a date, but like a year like estimate, like between 1500 to 1600, something like that.
Uh, let let's say it's definitely not the 1500, definitely not the 1600s. Um, I would probably have to come back to that to give you a date, because I honestly don't really know the time and date when all this
The
specific.
reason that I'm asking that is because I'm trying to get an idea and a visualization of what was going on during that time. You know what I'm saying? Because we talking about Corinthians, and we saying that because majority
Oh,
of
I see.
time women have been oppressed. You know what I'm saying? I
I see
couldn't
what.
imagine back then women be trying to rebel in church and trying to. I couldn't imagine that, because throughout history women have just been able to have certain rights to do anything, and
Listen,
that's.
I see exactly why you said that, but I wanted you to understand that Paul wasn't writing a statement to basically say, hey, this is what Christians should believe towards women. This was something that was going on inside of that church that Paul was addressing.
I don't
This
I
that's
don't
what I'm
I don't
telling you.
believe I don't believe that. And the
But how
reason
can
I
you
don't
not how can you not believe that when you obviously did you know that they came from the book of Corinthians?
what that statement?
Yes.
No, but the reason that I say I
Right. So,
don't.
so you're saying you don't believe it, but you ain't even digging into it to seeing what I'm seeing.
I get what you're saying. Let me just say this real quick. The reason that I don't believe that is because there has always been a stigma against women that they are not as good as men. And
Before the
that
before,
ideology comes from Europeans. It does not come from Africans, because we had monarchy systems. Europeans had patriarchal systems where they always felt like the man was better than a woman. So I don't think that it was a point where women was in the church doing this, because I think that Europeans have always felt that about their women. They've always felt like women are
so
less than them. That's where the
so
patriarchal system comes from.
so you're saying that nowhere in our history outside of European influence have we ever believed that men were superior to women.
I'm not saying that. I'm
You know why
saying
you can't
that
say that?
I'm saying
You
that
know
the
you
or I'm
can't say
no, you kind of putting words to my mouth. I'm saying that that patriarchal system comes from the European.
that. Right.
Africans were matriarchal. There was
Okay.
queens, and pharaohs and women that were in power and in charge. And the way that we uplifted our women, not just putting them in places of power, but how we treated them, was with
And
fairness.
there are queens inside of the Bible also, right? There were leaders that were women. So what I'm saying,
Queens of what nations?
I don't have an answer for that unless I pull
Well,
up a cap.
were they European? Well, the events that happened in the Bible we can
No,
consider to be.
none of the Europeans. All this was our people. But but
Exactly. So
but
when we're
but but
talking, that's my
but
point though.
that is,
I'm saying that Europeans created this. You saying that there was queens in the Bible? Yeah, there was queens in the Bible, but they were African,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
right? So I'm saying that.
And that's a part of Christianity. That's a part of our history. So
Okay, keep going,
I'm,
keep going.
I'm saying that we weren't Christianity's not taking women out of power, because we have in our history, and we can read about queens.
But I'm saying that that's one way that the Bible is being interpreted. That's your interpretation.
No,
But
it's
from
not
my,
there. What I'm
I'm
saying to you is this European influence that you're talking about, I fully understand it. Now, I'm trying to show you clearly how, through the whole entire history of what I believe, doesn't teach that a woman doesn't deserve to be a queen or doesn't deserve to be in a certain position or she should be under your feet. I'm clearly isolating that event when Paul wrote that to show you that it was something going on and he had to address it. Now, I may not, have the exact dates and all this type of things, but I'm giving you the overall understanding that makes
Okay,
sense.
so what leads you to the belief that there was something going on in the church that made Paul talk about these things?
Because Paul wrote letters to instruct every church, and Paul also established a lot of the churches. So he had to continually to teach them the ways of Christ and how you should live and how you should treat one another. So a lot of his writings were for educational purposes. They weren't biology or science to show you how you should view things. A lot of this was just to get a person from being immature to a mature understanding of who Christ was.
So you explained to me why Paul, or why you think that this situation happened and why he wrote this out in the church. What leads you to believe that the reason that he said that women couldn't preach was because they were acting up? Like, was
Because
there an event in the Bible that says women were acting unruly, or is there some event in history where we could
okay,
say, or is this just based? Like,
when
I'm just asking.
most people read a chapter and verse, I want to prove to you something, right? When most people read a chapter and verse, they literally just read it and they look at it as just
Just
that statement,
right.
right?
But the Bible
Exactly.
is,
Both know
you
that.
as in parables. You have to read it. Everything
Now,
is not in order. I'm hip to that.
now,
I'm
now
hip.
watch this. Now watch this. For Paul to write something like that, there has to be a reason, and it was a reaction because it was an epistle, it was an instruction. This whole book was addressing everything going on inside of that church. So we cannot isolate just that verse and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's there. What else is happening? What else is he talking about? He's talking about all of the issues and what's taking place, what the church is doing, and hey, y'all need to
As
do this
far as
different.
what?
You would have to read the book of Corinthians, man.
So do
You
you
would have
know?
it starts out talking about fornication, people lusting and
What's
just
what's wrong
brother.
with what's wrong with sex?
See, that's the reason why I didn't. That's the reason why I said you have to read it. The reason why I said that is because I automatically knew that if I stated anything from the book, you were gonna try to piggyback and go with that. I don't. I'm not. I can't address that yet. What I want to address is the statement about women should not preach because that's what we're talking about. There's so many different ways we can go. So what I'm saying to you is this whole entire book of Corinthians, right? When you start reading it, you cannot look at it just line by line. Take away the chapter and verses and understand that he was writing instructions to a certain people at a certain time in a certain situation. So Paul was addressing what was going on and how you should view those positions and how they should conduct themselves. Right
Well,
now, outside of that,
I get what you're saying. Hold on. Regardless, because me and you both know that a woman preaching is nothing wrong with that. And whether we in the church right now and women start acting up, that still does not give them the right to say that women don't have the right to preach. Period. Because that's just for what's going on at y'all church or what's ever going on with y'all women. But to create a statement to say and put this in the Bible that women should not preach, we know that was wrong. So whatever he was going through, it was wrong. It was wrong.
all right,
Period.
all right, let me say this, right? Let me say this. Now, culturally, our understanding of what is considered wrong is going to define by the culture that we live in, and that's 100% fact.
I
Because
disagree. I disagree.
all right, now,
Because
now,
listen,
I
listen.
say
If
that.
we if
Let
we
me tell
kill somebody right now, it don't have nothing to do with culture. If
let me tell you
somebody
why.
does something out of malice, and they kill somebody, we don't need cultural context. We know
But
that's wrong.
let me tell you why I say that though. I say that because a lot of times when we read a chapter and verse, we automatically align it with our cultural ways and our belief system that we have today. We don't address the mentality and the mindset of what was going on with the people at the time. We don't look at that. We don't worry about that. We automatically read things and get offended.
No,
And
we are worrying about that. That's not true, because
now why? Now,
regardless of our cultural beliefs, a woman should be able to speak regardless of what culture,
I'm
what
now,
time frame it is.
now watch this. Now watch this, right? Now watch this. Now in our culture, right? And I don't know if you agree with these things or not. We don't have to state if we agree with them or not.
When you say our culture, do you mean Black culture,
Um, to make
American
it
culture?
to make it not debatable, let's just say now in our time, because I understand that everything can be debated. Just say now in our time. In our time right now, we have things that we've never seen before that has become a norm, like a third restroom. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
You
You know,
said a third who?
a third restroom.
A third restaurant? I disagree with that.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So now you cannot tell these people that not having a third restroom is somehow wrong, because in the time that we live in, we're being cultivated to believe that these things are actually rights that we're taking away from people that they deserve. Like a
Say that one
woman,
more time. Say that one more time.
okay, in our culture now, not I'm not going to use the word culture. In our
Yep.
time now, in our time now, you have people who believe that their rights are being withheld from them, and they should have the ability to do certain things without somebody telling them it's wrong, like a third restroom, like a woman in an MMA match against a man, or a woman being on there's a lot of things that has happened, like in sports, people running track, and you have a male that is running with women like that, right? Now in our culture, when you say that is wrong, now it's looked at as discrimination, because you're withholding a right from someone that they should have. So what I'm telling you is that back in that time, it's the same thing. Now we may look at it and say, "Oh my gosh, a woman can't preach. Why would that's so wrong?" But why are we not looking at the culture at that time? Why are we not taking into consideration that you have people that were not Christians, that thought a certain way or didn't think a certain way, that had a different a set of upbringing? Why are we not paying to what they?
We are, and that's what I mentioned when I said there is a history of Europeans always putting their women below them. That's what I'm saying, and
Do
that is
Europeans
what
put their women below them now?
What'd you say?
Do Europeans right now, since that's their history, right? Do they put their women below them now?
Yes.
How?
If you, bro, on average, a man is going to have a higher salary than
But
a
how they
white
put
woman,
below him though?
and
That's not putting a
because
woman.
that is putting a woman below them. Because
A woman.
if I'm gonna give you the same position and pay you $75 and get this other girl the same position and pay her $75, that is putting you below them. And majority of our our corporations
So
are ran by white men.
you're saying the system. You're saying the system,
The
right?
system, which is ran by Europeans.
Okay. Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, this thought process is a European concept. Us saying that women cannot preach comes from the European mindset of always them having their women below them. That is they thing. When you look at pictures of them back in the day, and this kind of irrelevant, but it's always two men. And this, no disrespect to any white people or Europeans that's in this, but this is just real history. You see men with little babies, butt naked, grown men, like that is, they are built upon men. Like,
And
their whole European, the whole European thing and putting women down, that's where that comes from. So I don't
let,
think that it was just an incident in the church that happened where they was like, yeah, we're not letting women preach. No,
let me
y'all always been like that. Y'all never wanted y'all women to preach, period.
all right, let me say something real quick. As much as I enjoy this, I'm a truck driver, and I literally have to pick up a load like around, I want to say maybe 5 or 6. So I got to run to Freight Runner real quick. So me sitting here any longer is probably gonna, somehow, keep my day from moving forward. So I don't want to get away from it. However, you can follow me on my other page at Road Ready Academy. That's my page, the truckers page that I run to teach trucking and information and all that type of things. If somebody wants to get into driving trucks and all that, but I do that that's my daily job. I drive locally here in Georgia, so I do have to go do a load. However, I want to leave by saying this: I am not a programmed Christian. I am free. I believe in equality for a man and a woman, and I live my life according to that. Everything that you have said, I have addressed each and every single topic. We can go back and forth on it all day. So that is my evidence to show you that the average Christian would not last this long. And I'm not trying to insult the average Christian, but what I'm saying is that the average Christian, you know, would not be on here, right? So we can continue this at a different time. And personally, me, I don't want anybody to look at me as like, oh, this guy think he knows it all. There's a lot of things that I don't know. But one thing I do know is this: if there's something that I don't know, I'm gonna go find out. And I keep doing this over and over and over and over. And this is not my first rodeo. This is not the first time I sit there and listen to debates coming from atheists to why they don't believe. I've heard all these arguments for years. None of these arguments are new. It's just that I just woke up, as you can tell, and I'm trying to take my notes on what you're saying. It right, and I'm like,
Facts.
hey, so I'm not prepared for no debate, and I ain't did my studies and all that. I'm just gonna jump in here because I feel like the Holy Spirit is gonna lead me and produce in me what needs to be said, and that is what I did, and that is my proof, because I was not prepared for this. But somehow I was still able to remember what I needed to. Somehow I was still able to have this conversation. And in my mind, I'm like, God, give me the knowledge to say what I need to say, and make it come out in a way where I can express myself without a lack of knowledge or anything like that. So I'm just saying that to say this, man. You know, keep doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? You're definitely waking up a lot of people, because you waking up me, and I'm a Christian, right? And I fully believe that on our journeys, man, at the end of the day, what is true, and it will not change. We can only discover it. It will not change. We're still discovering information, and I live by this. If what I believe is not true, I'm
No, facts,
sorry
facts,
about
bro.
that.
Hey, what's your name,
I
bro?
cut out
What's your name?
Clive. That's my name. But if you are you wanting my page or just my real name or what?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, bro, I respect you, Clyde. Man, I'm glad that we we was able to build as men. You know what I'm saying? Giving each other the time to talk. I know I may have interjected a couple times. You know what I'm saying? But overall, this was a great build, bro. And I'm glad that we was able to have this. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that all the people that's in here that's listening got to listen to it, because if at the end of the day, if we weren't able to prove something to each other, we were able to open each other's minds up to go deeper into what we was talking about. Because everything that you talked about, I got it. You know what I'm saying? Certain things, certain things I'm obviously gonna have to go back over, but I definitely am gonna look further into what you're talking about in certain points, and I want you to go into what I'm talking about, because eventually I will be studying the Bible like front to back, not in the sense of I'm gonna read it as a story, but I have read half of the Bible already. But I am going to be looking deeper into this, but I'm just glad to have this build. What's your Instagram page, bro?
You can type in I think, shoot, I don't even be on it. But tell you what, I follow you on two pages, on this page and on my other page. So I can, well, you're not following me back, so I can't DM you. Will you see a tag if I tag you from something, or
Here, I'm gonna follow you now. Hold on.
yeah, follow me so I can DM you everything.
What's your what's your Instagram, or what's your name on here?
What's this page called? Inspiration 7. Hold on. It didn't come up. Follow me on Road Ready Academy. Search for that real quick.
You said Road Rage Academy?
Road Ready Academy.
Road Ready Academy. That's your Instagram or your TikTok?
That's the TikTok. Follow me on there and message me on there, because
Okay.
this page on here, I just created it, but I don't really use it. But I created it so I can just basically make inspirational posts from time to time. But Road Ready Academy is what I try to build every single day. So Road
Okay.
Ready Academy. If you follow me on there, I can message you back, and then we can talk. However, man, I do want to ask you a favor though. There's a lot of Christians on here that is still trying to strengthen their faith and they're still trying to find their ways. And information can lead a lot of people astray. Information can cause a lot of people to be divided in their heart. And I'm not the best at this. But would you mind if I just say a quick prayer with those believers that's trying to strengthen their faith, so when they see this, they can pull from this and know that they can continue to grow? Do you mind if I do that real fast? You don't have to agree with it if you're not comfortable. If you're not comfortable, it's fine,
yeah,
bro. I don't think
that's I will say, like, it don't necessarily have to be a prayer, but like you could definitely push out a message. You feel me?
Okay, and you know what? And you know what? I have pushed out a message, man, and I ain't gonna hold your life hostage. And I think everything that I've said today has found somebody in some form of way. I'm not gonna try to have no special word or a clothing or something like that. I'm not a scripted person. I just go off the dome, and what happens is what happens, man. But like I said, follow me on that page. I'm gonna message you my information. And when you do decide to read and to do your study, I only ask you one thing. Do not study with the mindset of anything that I said or anything that anybody has said. Look at this from a lens from your eyes, because when you go to start reading something and you have, things inside your head or other notions and stuff, sometimes you cannot see the innocence of what is being written, and a lot of people look at it when they're reading something as, oh, it's guilty. I'm just reading it to just have it to defend itself to me. So I like to look at the scriptures as neutral, bro. As neutral, meaning that let me read it and let the scripture talk to me. Let this epistle talk to me and not me talking to it or trying to form a question in my mind and trying to find the answer within it. Let me just read it as I've never, as with no influence. And I'm not saying that to try to blind you in any sense, because a lot of people would say that. But what I'm saying is that
be open for interpretation.
Be open for its own interpretation, because a lot of time that stuff as being guilty when it's really not, because we may be perverted. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that. But if I'm perverted, things ain't gonna look the way they're supposed to look. And this is what people do. They'll give you a picture to try to see how perverted you are and say, well, is that a butterfly? Is that this? And if your mind's screwed up, you're gonna say, is that? So everything,
but you're not looking at the full context of it.
Right.
I understand exactly what you mean, because I do that amongst all information. Whether it's something that I want to believe in, I still know, even with some of the stuff that I may read, that I can't take everything that I get from this. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's with all research. You got to kind of look at it from a blank slate, as if you don't know anything. If I didn't know anything, or let me just clear my mind and not compare to this knowledge that I already have and just take it for what it is.
Right, because
I agree.
The ability to see how neutral the scriptures really are. And if there's anything that you stumble upon that you question, you know what I'm saying, we can debate it out, because there's a lot of things I've stumbled upon and I'm like, yo, I don't know. And then I may have to go into the Greek, or I may have to go into the Hebrew, because now we got translation issues where some of these modern terms we don't use today. So a lot of times when we're reading, we're reading from a standpoint of, okay, I know I'm reading from the King James Bible. I know it says this, but that's considered Old English. So, to really fine tune what you're looking for inside the scriptures, you have to use multiple sources sometimes. Sometimes you gotta, look at the Greek, hold it up to the English, and make sure and say, okay, I see how this one word can be translated two different ways. So now I see that slave is really servant. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna start finding stuff like that. That's my point there. So you have to take it to that level, and unfortunately, it takes time. This what you hear today, I didn't have this 3 years ago or and all that 4 years ago. It took me time to understand that one verse, bruh, could be interpreted different ways and have been interpreted different ways. But when you go back, and I say interpretation meaning it depends on what version you're reading, because they have manuscripts that are in museums that you can look up and you can read it in its original language if you know that language, right? But when you take it over to the English, there may not be a word to bridge the gap. So now there's an idea presented into that. So this is the degree that I have to go through to prove to myself that what I believe is actually what I'm reading. And I know you're going to be able to do the same. And I'm just warning you and just telling you these things so, you know, you don't go into it and see one verse and say, oh, I see what. Well, check it out. That may just be the English, bro. You may just need to dig in a little deeper, man. But listen, I appreciate your time, bro. I'm not going to say anything else. You got it. And thank you.
Hey, I wanted to tell you one more thing, bro. When you leave, I want you to read this book. It's I don't know if you ever read it. It's by Dr. Lila Africa. And it's a melanin book. It's called You a Lefty?
Righty.
Oh, you righty. Okay, it's flipped on the other screen. Okay.
Yeah,
hey,
it's all
but no, but it's called Dr. Lila Africa is spelled with 2 L's, Laila, and then Africa with a K. And it's a book about melanin. Read that. It's about 60, 70 pages. That's going to bring you a lot of insight. And then it's another book called The Destruction of the Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. Check that out also.
All right, hold on. Ugh. I got you. The Destruction of the Black Civilization, right?
Yep.
All right.
And it's by Chancellor Williams.
Okay.
And he gives you, he literally breaks down what's happening from the time frame of, I want to say like 4500 BC or up until, and he gives you a time frame of history of what's going on in Africa. And yeah. He was I want to say he was an African. He went to Britain to study, you know what I'm saying, and learn, and he starts breaking down all of these things. But just check out those books. But I'm glad that you was able to come in here, bro. Love you, fam. Be smooth, man. Be safe in your travels. Make sure y'all go support his business. He out in Georgia. If y'all need anything with y'all trucking company, what is it again?
Road Ready Academy, and you can find me on there.
Bet.
I teach from. That's my platform.
Most definitely. All right, it was good building with you, G.
All right, bro. Thank you, man. All right. Love. All right, bro.
Yo, that was a good build, y'all. We've been talking for hours, no cap. We've been talking for hours. Hold on. Man, that was a good build. Hey, I'm about to post all of this on my YouTube page. So this live will be on my YouTube page. Give it a couple hours, maybe an hour if you want to watch back from the beginning. Also, make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, YouTube. Turn on that notification bell. I be posting different content. Go check out all my content. I got a website where I do exclusive content. The link is in my bio on here. So I got in-depth videos where I break down what I'm talking about. I will be making Christian lectures, discussing all of the stuff that I'm talking about. And yeah, make sure y'all go check out my website and tap in. Love y'all. One.